And you join us here in Canberra just in time for the national anthems ahead of, well, Game 2 or Game 1, depending on which way you look at it, this Round 10 series between Canberra and Perth. The national anthem has been sung. The pitches will start to be thrown in anger in just a couple of minutes, and a very important game of baseball on the way this evening, as they all are in Week 10, with finals berths on the line in the Australian League. And, well, tonight, what have we got? We've got a massive battle in the offing. Perth sit 22-14, Canberra sit 21-15. They're in opposite conferences, but they're both harbouring ambitions of taking top spot in their respective divisions. What they need to do is to, well, keep winning and hope results go their way. I am Chris Coleman. Alongside me, welcome back to Cavalry Live, Anthony Overs. Good evening to you, my friend.
Good evening, Chris. Thank you very much for having me back. It's good to be here.
Mate, great to be with you on a Friday night here. And as you hear, there's a
shenanigans on the field.
Oh, there's a few events going on about taking a stand, but we need to get through the lineups here. You can see the Perth Heat, and gee, I've got to say those Perth Heat retro black uniforms, they look spiffy. They really do look good. And great to see them getting an outing in the 2018-19 season. For Perth, the batting order will be Tim Kennelly, Chris Clare, Pete Cosma, Tristan Gray, Ross Glendenning, Carl Chester, Alex Hall, Ulrich Bojarski and Sam Kennelly. And if you were watching us for what we tried to get in with baseball last night, you'll notice that is exactly the same batting lineup as it was last night. The Cavalry defence, Anthony Overs.
Frank Gailey starting on the mound tonight. Robbie Perkins is catching. Bosmo Naroa is at first base. Craig Massey at second. Michael Francoso at short. Cam Warner at third. Kyle Perkins at left field. Michael Krause at centre field. And David Candelas in right field.
That's how the Cavalry line up there. Frank Gailey comes into this one 4-2. The 2 losses have been pretty tough on Frank, including one of them in Brisbane last weekend. But 4-2 his win-loss record, an ERA of 3.50. 54 innings pitched for Frank this season, 56 strikeouts across those 54 innings, and he's given up just 44 hits. So like I said, if you've got 54 innings pitched, 44 hits, 56 Ks, a 4-2 win-loss record is a bit tough on you, but that's the way baseball goes, and we wish Frank Gailey all the luck. This is quite possibly the last regular season game we'll see Frank Gailey take part in here. I don't know if he'll be back for us again next year. His plan was originally to come out for 1 year. It's been well documented why he had to stick around and why he's played a second season with us here in the Cavalry, and we've been blessed to have that man out here. He has loved his time here. He's been an absolute credit to the club and to the league, and we hope that there's lots of good times ahead for him, and if he does elect to come back, I'm sure he'll be welcomed with open arms. But Frank, if this is the last regular season game we get to see of you here, on behalf of all the Cavalry fans and indeed all baseball fans in Australia, thank you very much for being a great servant to the game and a great representative of the club and the game here in Canberra.
Well said, Chris. But this game too started position. It's been a bit chop and change.
Well, Frank's pitched most of the game twos, and then there was a bit of a shuffle where he went to game 3 when Shota Imanaga went home, but now he's back in game 2, and I think this is possibly because of the reshuffle in this weekend, with last night's game being suspended after 2.5 innings. That'll be finished tomorrow afternoon and then followed by a 7-inning game, and maybe it was, well, it's a 9-inning game. Let's get as much out of Frank as we can. If he can go deep tonight, it saves a lot.
Very good. That's
tomorrow.
Logical.
And hopefully Steve Kent will be able to take care of the bulk of that other game tomorrow, coming on having thrown, I think it was 55 pitches, I think it was last night, so hopefully he'll be able to come on and throw a good 7 innings or 6.5 innings tomorrow to get us underway. It is Tim Kennelly, average 345, 48 hits for the season for Kennelly, and he takes the first pitch for strike 1 from Gailey. As you can see there, the wind blowing very, very strong. The flags blowing from left to right this evening. Last night we started with the wind from left to right. It then went from left to right to left to straight in. It was all over the place. 1-1, low and away. Make that 2 balls and 1 strike. We've also been keeping an eye on the weather radar for obvious reasons.
There's a large system of rain just to our north.
But it is staying, and has done for the last 45 minutes, to our north. So we keep our fingers crossed that it goes there. Tim Kennelly, what a man. What a player this guy has been for the Australian baseball team and for the Perth Heat over the years. Fly ball out towards Michael Krause. Krause calls everyone off and takes it well on his own in the wide open spaces of centre field, and we have the first out for the night. But we'll talk more about Tim Kennelly later. But we go from Kennelly to Chris Clare. So another righty starting up here. Around the league, some other action already underway. Melbourne and Auckland. Well, they were playing 2 7-inning double headers in Melbourne this weekend, and in the first of those double headers, it's 1-1 after 7. Well, there's 1-1 in the bottom of the 7th, so we might see that game going to extras down there. Geelong Korea currently lead Brisbane. Yeah, I'll say that again. Geelong Korea currently lead Brisbane after losing 21-2, I think it was last night. Geelong Korea currently 1-0 up that game in the top of the 3rd, and that's a 0-1, 0-2 count now on the batter, Chris Clare. And the other game, Sydney and Adelaide, will start in about 20 minutes. We'll keep you posted on those scores through the course of the evening. Gailey to Clare. Clare foul ball, third base side.
So Matthew Pearson calling balls and strikes behind the dish tonight. Riley Barrington down at first base and Ben Nash down at third. Completes the officiating crew.
So we've seen with Gailey, once he gets ahead in the count this season, he's been very hard for the batters to turn around. Probably not as pronounced this season as last season, where he really was pitching like a man on fire. Now Clare will do what we've seen him do. We were going to do a little of last night. Now he's tried to extend the at-bat, going out towards deep centre field, and Krause, well, makes that one a little bit harder, but on 2 fly-to-8s, we've had the first 2 outs of the game.
So Gailey pitching from the first base side of the rubber. The lefty, that pitch looks like it's coming in from the second baseman deep in the hole, coming across the plate to the right-handers.
Here's a man I've really been looking forward to seeing in some very limited game time last night. We saw this man get involved in a couple of infield outs. Very sharp at second base. Comes in with an average of 292, does Pete Cosma. MLB for, well, amongst others, Detroit, the Yankees, the Cardinals. It's a pretty decent looking CV, really. And here he is playing for Perth, wearing number 33. 1-0, make that 2-0 as Gailey stays up and away on the outside.
So the wind blowing in from centre field to the plate. Very blustery.
It's actually blown our centre field camera off course for the minute. So apologies for having to stay with you from the side of the vision. We've got someone running around to fix it at the moment. 3-0 the count. And Gailey unable to find the zone. And so Pete Cosma gets a walk.
Really pitched around him. He wasn't coming straight to him at all. So for the fourth day in a row here in Canberra, we have hit the 40-degree mark. It's 32 degrees at the moment. It feels like 24 with the stiff breeze. And humidity's rising to about 30%.
For our American viewers who are wondering what 40 degrees means, it's about 6,005. It's been hotter than Hades here. Frank Gailey now pitching to Tristan Gray, and Gailey throwing to a lefty. Gets back in the right spot with strike one called by umpire Pearson. Gailey, lots of fastballs. There was a swing from Tristan Gray, so it's to the 0-2 count fairly quickly. And all things being equal, we'll be able to get you back out to centre field to behind the pitcher in just a moment. One and two now. One and two. Gailey, we've referred to him a few times on Cavalry Live this season as a real bulldog pitcher. He just goes and goes, doesn't know when he's beaten. Hard hit, straight to Francoso. Francoso thinks about the play at second, but takes the easy option, lobs it across to Moanaroa at first. And 3 outs side away, and despite Pete Cosma getting a walk, no damage done, and in the middle of the first, no score. Anthony, let's have a look at the Canberra Cavalry batting lineup for this Friday night game here in Canberra, and then we'll explain how the rest of the weekend is going to play out.
Sure, well, no real surprises here. Michael Francoso leading off, David Candelas in the 2-hole, Craig Massey batting 3, Zach Wilson the clean-up. He's the DH tonight. Michael Krause in the 5 spot. Boss Moanaroa, Robbie Perkins, Kyle Perkins, and Cam Warner in the 9-hole.
The defence for the Perth Heat, it'll be Connor Lowry on the bump. Give you some numbers for him in just a moment. Hall is the catcher. Sam Kennelly at first. Cosma at second. Gray fielding at short. Third base is Glenn Denning. Bojarski or Boyarski, depending on which reform school you went to, in left field. Chester in centre, and Tim Kennelly in right field. And Connor Lowry comes into this game, the right-hander, with a 5-3 win-loss record, an ERA of 2.98. Hasn't had as much work as Gailey this season, but he comes in having thrown 42.1 innings, 50 strikeouts. So it's strikeout power versus strikeout power this evening. And Connor Lowry, he's very hard to get away, having given away just 28 hits in 42.1 pitches. And I've got to say, if you have a look at his profile picture on the ABL website, I don't know about you, Anthony, but I've looked at this picture and I just keep thinking of Charlie Sheen in Major League, in the latter stages where he comes on as Vaughan with the glasses. Yep. I don't know whether they're a conscious thing, the black frame glasses, or whether it's just how he likes. I think they look particularly stylish on him, but it's I just can't help but think of it. What do you reckon?
Absolutely.
Pull it up there.
Not
We've got him on the screen. You can see him there. There's a similar build, a similar hairstyle.
I don't know whether they're the sort of standard safety glasses that pitchers would wear.
Don't know. We'll explain. We'll talk more about that later, I'm sure. We'll talk more about plenty of things tonight. But what's Michael Francoso got to offer as he comes in? His average, well, it's dipped in recent times. It's down to 443.
Oh.
Yeah, down to 443. He's not the only cavalry man with a 400 average coming into tonight's game either. Followed by Candless with a 263 and Craig Massey 287. If you can hit to right field, you'll get plenty of value for your hits tonight. Lowry, first pitch goes inside to the left-hander, Michael Francoso. Amazing how much of an offensive lift this man has given the Cavalry as he swings at the second pitch, puts it high in the air, it swirls around and around and around. Hall gets underneath it and takes it.
Nasty pitch.
Nasty pitch. Good hack at it, but it's always going to be hard to get away.
Choosing the crowd there for Candless as he approaches the plate.
Well, he's been about the hottest hitter in the league, I think, in about the last 10 games.
Was he down to about $1.50? And
he was at one stage.
He went really hot a couple of weeks ago.
His average over the last 10 games comes in at 382. Sorry, I lie. At 429 over the last 10 games. He's got his season average up to 263. He's really been putting it together. Put one into the David Candless detailing lot in the last home series as well. So certainly back in some form. Chosen for the national team camp that's taking place here in Canberra next month. As the team starts to ramp up for the Premier 12 competition later on this year. One of 4 cavalry players in that squad. Give you some more details on that later as well. 2-0. Takes the next one. It's just on the top inside corner. 2-1. The count for David Candless. But a man for whom the saying, form is temporary, class is permanent, could well have been written. Got ahead in the count, the 3-1 count, this real batters count, and I think with David Candless, probably more than most other players in this league, the 3-1 count, if it's anywhere close to being a hittable ball, he's going to put this into a very dangerous space. What's he got? Lowry makes him wait. Candless swings, fouls it away. It'll land somewhere over near the bleachers. In fact, that's, I think, actually landed on a car in the car park by the sounds of that.
So Carl Chester, the centre fielder, is in shallow and playing to his left, closer to right field.
Interesting.
Huge hole between centre and left there.
Well, they're tempting him. David Candless, we know, has hit plenty to left field, plenty of home runs to left field, so maybe they're tempting him, saying, well, there's the space there. If you can put it there, good luck to you. Full count on the batter, 1 out, none on. Iron inside. David Candless gets a walk. He'll be happy with that, and he's on base. And that'll take us to Craig Massey. 287 Craig Massey's average. 39 hits for the season so far for Craig Massey. So just to explain what's happening here this weekend. With last night's game suspended after 2.5 innings, after much discussion, it was decided that that game will be resumed tomorrow afternoon, local time 4 p.m, with game 3 in the series to then take place as a 7-inning affair at 7 o'clock. For Saturday night baseball in the nation's capital. Massey takes the first pitch. As you see, it's high. 1-0. It's very windy conditions causing us some issues with our, still causing some issues with our camera over the centre field fence. We do have someone working at it. It's actually, we're in the process of tying it down so that it doesn't blow away again. 1-0 on the batter. Make that 1-1 as Massey likes what he sees on the Connor Lowry fastball and tries to put it into orbit.
Got a tiny piece of it, according to Matt Pearson.
So I was going to say, Candless giving himself a good lead there at first. Noticed by Lowry. You mentioned before about Frank Gailey working off the extreme first base side of the rubber. Lowry not quite as far over on the third base side, but fairly close to the edge. There, maybe 6 inches in. If you were to mirror the delivery points.
Looks like he's got size 18 feet.
He's got very big feet, hasn't he?
A firm grip on the earth.
It's nice to know you're not going to fall off the planet. 1-1, the count. Swing through. Massey liked the look of that. I think he was expecting that to break. It didn't. 1-2. The run to the finals for the Canberra Cavalry and the Perth Heat. They both qualified for the postseason. Seeding's up for grabs. 1-2. Massey fouls the ball away.
Another high pitch, but he fouls it off.
Candless there at first. Come back. Live action at the dish. Ball, 2 strikes. Massey swings through. Beaten by the off speed. Strikes out. First strikeout of the night. 2 down for Canberra. David Candelas still out there at first. And Zach Wilson wanders in. Now for Wilson.
Boy, this guy can slug.
Oh, can't he? Can't he? I've got him down for 12 home runs for the season so far. Phenomenal number in a short season competition. And that's off 44 hits. So in other words, if he gets a hit, it's a better than 1 in 4 chance that he'll put it over the fence. We'll bring you back to centre field. That's looking pretty good. So hopefully we don't have a camera operator doing Mary Poppins out there. 1-0. Lowry making Wilson wait. It's funny watching Connor Lowry pitch, and I've seen him pitch before, and I'd forgotten this, that he's one of those rare pitchers, doesn't have a constant rhythm. He'll throw a couple of pitches in quick succession, and then there'll be a long gap like there is here. So it really doesn't let the batter get set to know when the pitch is coming. It's such a hard pitcher to read because there's no rhythm to how it's coming.
All with the intention of upsetting the batter.
Absolutely. 3-0 the count here. And make that 3-1. Thanks for your patience as we've now clamped that camera down. 3-1. Make that 4-1. So Lowry, not sure whether he's struggling with the wind here, which is now, that's what I was saying earlier, Anthony, if we get a wide shot from behind home plate, you'll see it. The flags, in fact, there are 2 flag poles. They're about 15 feet apart, and you'll see the ACT flag, the yellow one on the left blowing straight in, and the Australian flag blowing across to right field. So the wind is really fluky, really hard, horrible conditions to be trying to pitch in. And I'd bet that a couple of times as the pitchers, and they're both fairly sizable men, Lowry and Gailey, as they're getting into the stride, there's the occasional time when they're being buffeted by a sudden gust of wind. Canberra 2 out, 2 on, and it's Michael Krause. He's the other man in the Cavalry lineup with a 400 batting average, comes in 407. Now, admittedly, that's off just 8 games. But 407 is 407.
He really hit his stride coming in.
It hasn't wasted any time. Got some good form from the Mexican League here to the ABL. 0-1. Make that 0-2 as he fouls the ball away. Snake Gully side of the ground, first base side.
He picked up the slower pitch there, got a piece.
He and Zach Wilson, I think, are seeing the ball as though it is just monstrously big. Funny thing to say, but when you're in form, you just see the ball as though it's
a beach ball,
the biggest thing in the world. And then when you're out of form, it's like the pitcher standing there with a pea shooter.
Throwing golf balls at you.
Yeah, or smaller. Krause checks the swing. And good team play from Krause there to put the hand up and say to Candless, no, ball hasn't gotten away from the catcher. Stay there. 1 and 2.
Cosmo paying a little bit of interest to Candless at second, bounces back out again.
As the pitch is, well, low and away according to Michael Krause, but umpire Matt Pearson has called it as strike 3. And Krause strikes out looking. So that is 2 strikeouts.
Stranding 2 runners there.
We're at the stage of the season where you really can't afford to do that kind of thing too often. It is only early in the game. The other thing is we don't know whether we're going to get all 9 in tonight because there is plenty of rain off to our northwest. And the rain system here is currently tracking to the southeast. So we saw it for Canberra earlier this season. It's a game against Auckland where we only got 4.5 innings in. And then a torrential downpour arrived, with the Canberra side still in front, and play was unable to resume that evening. And so Canberra, well, in some people's minds, getting away with one there, but they were in front when the game was called.
Regulation game.
So, on the other hand, there have been a couple of times where Canberra have probably given up wins that they probably thought they should have had. So that is baseball. Early lead could be very, very important. For Perth, it is Ross Glendenning to lead off in this top of the second. Carl Chester and Alex Hall. That's the third baseman, the centre fielder and the catcher.
Still goose eggs across the scoreboard, no hits, no errors. So Lowry walked 2 there and had them stranded. It's fortunate for him. Gailey's all set to go.
So what does Robbie Glendenning have?
He's swinging a miss.
My apologies, I've been calling him Ross. It's Robbie. It's an easy mistake for someone of my vintage to make, isn't it?
Mate, you're going back 25 years in
Yeah, I know.
North Melbourne Football Club, aren't you?
Well, I lived in Melbourne in those days, saw him play some great Aussie rules games, so apologies. Robbie, 0-2 the count.
Both showing our age.
Mind you, when it comes to class, the name Glendenning in West Australian sport, I don't think anyone like you.
No.
Glendenning, 349. 29 hits, 3 homers, 1 and 2. Foul ball, first base side. Now, I'm not sure. I thought I just saw a flash of lightning off to the north. Not 100% sure on that.
The gusty wind is crazy. We've got the window open here just in front of me. It's only open 3 or 4 inches with the effects mic hanging out there. And I can feel the gust of wind coming in occasionally.
Which, given that we've got the air conditioning running in here on
on turbo.
On something approaching cyclone strength. Yeah, that's amazing that it's actually penetrating inside. 2-2. Make that striking out. And, Frank Gailey gets strikeout number 57 for the season. Picks up Robbie Glendenning. And we move to Carl Chester. Carl Chester, one of only 3 men in the Perth Heat lineup with an average under 300. He comes in at 252. But he's had a lot of hits. .34 hits all up for him, 26 RBIs. And you get the feeling that he's here for a good time, not a long time.
Well, they came out swinging. The first batter there swung at the first pitch.
I wonder whether that's predetermined to really chase after Gailey and put him under some pressure. High fly ball out to left field. It won't clear the fence because the wind's going to push it back in. Krause picks it up on the hop, but it is a double to Carl Chester. Easy stand-up double to him at second.
Nice piece. Split the outfielders. Bounce to the fence.
You won't get value for money hitting to that part of the park tonight, though. While the wind is bouncing around to all points of the compass. It is predominantly coming in from left field. I'll tell you something else that's interesting tonight too, Anthony. We're seeing a lot of air traffic go to Canberra. I believe Sydney Airport was hit by some issues earlier today, so some flights were diverted here. So we're seeing a lot of flights that are taking off every couple of minutes at the moment behind the pitches. And they're not, it doesn't take them too long before they disappear into the cloud either. So the cloud base fairly low here as well. 1-0 for Alex Hall. Hall, I think, part of the trend in the ABL as he fouls it off behind him. Part of the trend in the ABL where you've got to have a catcher who can produce good numbers with the bat. And he certainly does that. 42 hits for the season so far, averaging 328.
The season's too short to be able to just carry a defensive guy.
That's why it makes it all the more remarkable what Sydney have done. Low and away from Gailey to Hall, 2-1. Now Robbie Perkins will come in and have a chat with Frank Gailey. All the more remarkable what Sydney have done, where they had Jack Murphy. They banked on Jack bringing more than his value with the bat to that club, and I don't think anyone can say that he hasn't. Struggled early with the bat, but just from talking to some of the Sydney players when they were in town a couple of weeks ago about what he's brought to that clubhouse, and talking to Jack about how much he's enjoyed it and being a mentor to some of those young players there, and his average has climbed through the course of the season as well. Every other club's gone for power hitters, really, as much as they can with catches as Hall swings through. Strike two, so 2-2 the count on him now.
You can't put a price on that sort of experience.
No, you can't. But then you look at Perth, and this is the ABL model. You look Mitch Edwards in Adelaide, again, yep. Really powerfully built offensive catcher, and if they're not building the franchise around that kid at the moment, there's something wrong. 2-2.
So Mitch Edwards has made the Team Australia squad that will be training here in Canberra next month.
I'll dig that squad up. Talk about that this evening because there's some pretty good names in there. Full count, one out, one on. That's the runner at second. You can see him just in the picture there. Foul ball, third base side. Count remains full. Plenty of noise here as the game gets underway. Cam Warner picks it up, sends it across to Moen Aroa, times it to perfection. Moen Aroa comes back looking for the double play at third, but good run, good work from Carl Chester, beats the throw back across the diamond, so no 5-3-5 double play. But Alex Hall retired, and that's two down for the Perth Heat. And speaking about hot young talent, this guy, Ulrich Biarski, gee, how good's he? Last season we saw him do some monster hits, some massive home runs. Hasn't had perhaps a season to set the world on fire, but what I do like about his numbers, 13 hits for the season from not a lot of game time, as he brings up strike one. But of those 13 hits, 4 of them have cleared the fences.
Wow. That's impressive. Great running there from Chester on second base to see the throw over to first, and he was on his way.
Biarski pops it towards Krause. Krause has to dive. Oh, and takes the catch. That's a web gem. Let's just take another sticky beak at this.
Wow.
Watch this from Michael Krause.
That's impressive. He's jogging in like it's a routine play.
Well, for him it is.
Scoring.
Well played that man.
Sensational.
Middle of the first, no score, and in no small measure due to Michael Krause, because there's been 6 outs for Perth and he's been involved in 3 of them. He's taken 2 routine fly balls and made one very difficult one look fairly comfortable. Well played that man. Fascinating game in prospect here in Canberra on Friday night.
tap of the dawn to the peck of the crop. Across the horizon you jump, skip and hop and never stop.
Bottom of the second coming up here at MIT Ballpark in Canberra. Current seedings in the ABL, by the way. Canberra currently sitting 5th and Perth sitting 4th going into the postseason. Taking the action here in the bottom of the second. Anthony Overs.
We've got Bosmo and Roa approaching the plate. Batting 6, he'll be followed by Robbie Perkins and Kyle Perkins.
Boss with a slow start to the season, but he's just built up and built up. A couple of home runs in recent weeks.
Only takes one swing to change his fortunes. Pulls back on the pitch, high and inside. Underneath the pitch, but he swings hard. Counts 1-1. Pitching here.
So he's moved, hasn't he?
He's moved back from the third base end. Still darkness.
What's the odd story? If you can see them.
The shortstop, standard shortstop position for the first out.
Gray didn't have to move.
Now batting is the catcher, number 9, Robbie Perkins.
So he doesn't really hit into the shift, he just wandered straight to shortstop.
Yeah, exactly.
All those guys on the right hand side of the field didn't have to do anything.
What do you think about this talk that some people are coming up with about banning the shift?
Oh. Change the rules of the game to make it boring. Ball low for Robbie Perkins. How many times have we seen a player in the majors, for example, bunt down the third base line for a single and the shift is on? There's ways getting around it. Foul ball over into Snake Gully.
Well, I think it's all about, don't ban a pitcher from throwing a high ball at someone who's a high ball hitter, do you?
No.
Oh, speaking of high balls.
Plunked.
Robbie Perkins has been hit by
Robbie Perkins on the shoulder. He takes his base.
Quite a pattern here tonight.
Now batting left field, number 11, Kyle Perkins.
Looking at the Cavalry lineup, it's been out, walk, out in the first, and now it's out, hit by pitch. So if the pattern continues, then it's not good news for Kyle Perkins.
Not based on your trend, no. Kyle steps in. Runner at first is his brother. 1 out.
Trends in the stock market and trends in baseball both need them out as much as each other.
Swings at the first pitch, it's high, right underneath it. We talked a couple of weeks ago, Chris, about the fact that these guys are having fun playing baseball.
A lot to be said for that.
Oh, Kyle's having a great time. Pitch inside. 1-1. And the 1-1 pitch misses low and outside. Little shake of the head from Matt Pearson. Flags playing hard from left to right field. And that's put deep into right field. Kyle Perkins has put the ball up against the scoreboard. It's hit the fence. No, it's hit the scoreboard.
You're right the first time, Anthony.
It's hit the scoreboard.
It's hit the scoreboard and come back into the field of play. And I reckon in 9 seasons of the Australian Baseball League, that's the
time I've
first.
seen that happen.
We can't give away a year's supply of iced coffee for someone hitting the sign on the other side of the ballpark, but we can have someone hit the scoreboard on the fly.
Kyle Perkins hits the ball away to opposite field and it hit the scoreboard. It's the first time we've seen it happen in 9 seasons.
Try and get a replay in of this if we can. We may have to hold for a moment.
So
right.
Robbie scores, Kyle scores. 2 runs on the board here in the bottom of the second. Cam Warner steps in, looks at strike 1.
Got some good news for you, Anthony. I just had a note come through to me from the Weather Bureau here in Canberra. The severe thunderstorm warning. Sorry, take it away.
Fly ball to deep centre field. Regulation catch from Chester. That's 2 down for the Cavalry. Thunderstorm warning been
Severe
cancelled?
thunderstorm warning has been cancelled, so that is good news for us here this evening. So we may still get some rain, but we won't get the lightning which caused us so much grief last night.
Because last night it went for hours and hours.
Oh, yeah. I got woken up at about 1:30 by some almighty stuff that sounded like someone had dropped a piano on my roof.
Just the possums with their football boots on.
Possums in my part of town would be nothing short of miraculous.
Back to the top of the order. Francoso looks at the ball low. So yeah, Kyle is having fun playing baseball.
Oh yeah, not much more fun than putting on into the MIT ballpark scoreboard. That's
Oh,
going a
huge
similar
save.
distance, if not further.
Chester's going to
It's gone the
put
ground.
it down. Chester had tracked it down well. He was on the warning track, leapt for the ball. It might have come off the glove. It got away from him anyway. And Francoso standing at second with a double with 2 out.
Well, Francoso hit that almost the same distance as Kyle Perkins hit his home run, but the problem is that Francoso picked out the alley, the deepest part of the ballpark.
So it's 400 directly to the batter's eye. But it's deeper just in those little corners there either side of centre field. Candler steps in. Pearson calls play. Strike 1 on the inside. I've just been watching the catcher. He's taking signals from the dugout.
Let's keep watching this. Over this, yeah, you're right. So he looks across. Where's he getting the signals from, I wonder? Bit hard to tell. There's about 30 guys lined up along the fence.
Nice block in the dirt. Counts 2-1.
Mike Francoso on screen. Averaging north of 440. It's just ridiculous. It is absolutely ridiculous.
It's extraordinary. And it's not as though he's just walked in and had, 4 hits out of 10 at bats either. He's played a full season leading off. Pitches inside. 3-1. Again, Hall was looking to the dugout.
Here's the thing, coming into tonight, Francoso was 443 off his last 10 games. We talked about David Candless being 400 for his last 10 games. Francoso last 10 games 474. And so 10 games ago his average was at 412. Averages aren't meant to go up from that point. Not even if you tie Cobb, they're not meant to go up from that point.
Not in round 10 of the season, no.
Yeah. Not once you get to games 37, 38, 39, 40. I know Francoso was away for the first 3 weeks, so he's only played 22, 23 games.
Big hack from Candless takes the count full. High pop up to left field. Should be comfortably taken, and is by Boyarski. So the Cavalry leave one stranded. They score 2 on a home run from Kyle Perkins. Puts the ball into opposite field, hits the scoreboard, bounces back into the field. And the Cavalry lead 2 runs to nothing after 2.
Well, I tell you what, it's a pretty special night. It's a pretty special night, and great to see the home run there, Anthony. And great to see that you actually got to call a home run as well.
And a first for both of us. I can't believe it after all these games. You've done 160 games.
Yeah, and the first time we've seen one hit the scoreboard, but a little bit of a surprise for you here tonight, mate. I know it's a return to the commentary box for you. But joining us now is Matthew Percy.
Down, and here he is tonight at the ballpark. Ladies and gentlemen, please make some noise for Mr. Anthony Overs. How's it feel back in the old booth, Anthony?
It's got air conditioning, it's amazing.
This TV up here is absolutely amazing as well. I know where I'm sitting for the rest of the night, over with you and Coleman.
But doesn't yours work?
Work? A TV in my box? Are you kidding me? Not a chance. Anthony, wonderful having you back here in the ballpark. 100+ games here at MIT Ballpark. We don't see as much as we like to, but hey, have a great night tonight, buddy.
Thanks for having me back. It's always good to come out of the bullpen and help out Chris.
No worries. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Anthony. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Anthony Overs.
A little bit of a surprise for you there, Anthony. It's always nice to be able to spring one on you, buddy. And when I mentioned to first that you're up here tonight, we hatched the plan before the game to maybe just let the people out there in the ballpark know that you're here as well.
You crazy guys.
Hey, mate, sometimes you just got to wind things up. I'm seeing a few drops of rain falling at the ballpark, and a couple of umbrellas have gone up. Cavalry have a 2-run to nothing lead, top of the third. And for Perth, it's Sam Kennelly to lead off with 1 pitch in the bank for ball 1.
And second pitch to Kennelly for a strike on the lower inside corner.
I put Sam Kennelly in this sort of Robbie Perkins category.
Checks his swing. Did he go? No. 2-1.
And that is, you look at him, he's playing down there, and you think, oh yeah, he's been playing for ages and ages. First game in the ABL was back in the 2012-2013 season. And then you look at his profile and discover that he's only 23.
And he puts the ball through to left field for a single. Yeah, a veteran and a team leader at 23.
23 years old, 150 plus ABL games, career average of 186, but having a career season coming into today with a season average of 236.
He's aboard with a single, the second hit for the Perth Heat tonight. Back to the top of the order. Speaking of another veteran, Kennelly. How many times did Tim retire, Chris? Twice? couldn't stay away from the game. Strike 1 on Tim. Second pitch to Tim is outside. Not much of a lead at first there with Big Frank staring straight at the runner.
I have a correction, by the way, to a stat I gave earlier. I'll give that in a minute.
1-1 pitches outside. Frank just fixing the foothold.
How often in this league do you reckon we've seen brothers back to back on both sides?
High fly ball. Kyle's underneath it. It's taking a long time to come down. Takes the catch. And Sam retreats. I'm sure somebody's got a...
I'm sure someone will be able to calculate it, but just realise here we've got the
stat or a precedent somewhere.
We've got the Perkins back-to-back for Canberra, batting 7 and 8, and you've got Sam Kennelly batting 9 and Tim Kennelly batting 1. The correction I wanted to give, Earlier I said it was Boyarski with 13 hits and 4 home runs. Boyarski's actually 7 hits and 2 home runs. Sam Kennelly, 13 hits and 4 home runs. So, great production from these 2 young guns for the Perth Heat.
And they're batting 8-9.
Yeah. Yeah, great conversion. And this is Chris Clare. Flew out to centre field in the first.
He looks at the ball on the outside. Pitch is high. 2 balls. 1 out, runner at first. It really is good fun to be back, Chris. I'm enjoying tonight. We had an aborted go a couple of weeks ago, an audio-only game. As that pitch is chopped foul.
Well, the audio feed for Saturday action here in Canberra, by the way, for the remainder of Game 1 and then for all of Game 3, which will only be a 7-inning affair. Audio call available via YouTube and the Canberra Cavalry Facebook page. 2-1 the count here on the batter.
Big swing and a miss. Head up in the air looking at the sky. Won't be able to hit the ball if you're not looking at it.
Used to get told that all the time. On my coaches.
All the time.
All the time.
Every swing.
Virtually.
Counts 2-2. Another swing, grounds it foul. Down the third base side. So I did more than 120 games. You've done, what, 160?
170 something.
170 games. You must have done 105 or 110 together. Pitches outside, takes the count full.
This will count as 173. Last night will count as 172 eventually. I think,
you're not counting it twice.
I think that's how it'll work.
Full count, 1 out. Runner on first. Gailey checks him out, delivers. And swing and a miss. There's a strikeout for Gailey. And that's 2 down. Just the 2 strikeouts for Frank Gailey this evening. Both swinging. Brings up Cosma, the MLB veteran. Oh, high fly ball, swings at the first pitch into right field. Candelas underneath it, takes the catch. Most of his teammates had left the field.
Well, they knew that he wasn't going to put it down, and if it did, he wasn't going to be anyone you want to be anywhere near.
That's confidence in the right fielder. Pretty sure glove though with Candelas. That's side away. Perth leave a runner stranded in the top of the third, and we've got a 2-0 ball game.
So the home side up by 2-0. G'day to Shane, Dr. Miraculous.
Hi mate. Hi Shane.
Great to have you on board. Thank you for your tweet as well. Nice to know that you're watching.
It was a bit warm to wear my Biscuits hoodie tonight.
It's a bit warm to be wearing anything other than a t-shirt or a short sleeve shirt tonight. Yeah, great to see. I just love how we're getting to see more and more former major leaguers or even current major leaguers coming to the ABL for a sabbatical or for just a chance to recharge the batteries or to have a bit of fun. But also starting to see, as we've seen with the Cavalry this season, with the Japanese current MPB players, Shota Imanaga, phenomenal stuff. Tomoya Mikami, Yuki Kuniyoshi out here. The Koreans and plenty of KBO experience there. Just great to see so much more international interest in this Australian Baseball League as each season goes on.
I'm so much looking forward to watching Imanaga's career.
Oh yeah.
The kid, what is he, 24, 25?
Yeah, he's still only young. That's the thing. He's a veteran of the NPB, but he's still only young. And then we've got, he's not playing this evening, but Koki Yagi, the left fielder, who's only 20 or 21. And seriously fast, just needs to get a little bit more upper body strength, and yeah, he'll be an amazing threat as well. So great to see plenty of it. As we move into the third for the Canberra Cavalry, and now this is really foot on the throat time. Canberra need to start to build it up here. They've got a 2-run lead, and they've got, well, how would you like to have this coming up? Craig Massey, Zach Wilson, Michael Krause.
That's very confronting as a pitcher.
Lowry, good pitcher.
Okay, fans, that was
So they've all had a look at him once.
And leading off the bottom of the third inning, kicking off Canberra Cavalry, the second baseman, number 25, Craig Massey.
Massey struck out previously.
Massey calls time before a pitch is thrown.
I think there's still music going from the soundstage. For the high outside pitch there, he really moved into it.
That's where the ball went.
Chases the next one, 1-1.
Pitch is well outside. 2-1's the count. Slaps it foul. Takes the count to 2-2.
Watch this routine. Watch Massey as he gets the routine. Gets himself planted, now has a look around.
At everybody.
Looks around at absolutely everybody who's out there. And then zooms in. I keep saying this, zooms in on the pitcher as though he's staring right into his soul. And I'm going to have to speak to a couple of pitchers and find out whether they notice it. I'm loath to ask them before a game, but I'm going to have to go and catch up with someone who's pitched here in Canberra a couple of times this season against Massey and see if they've noticed it, because it certainly stands out on the vision here. You just watch it again. Comes in, bat touches the ground a couple of times, up on the shoulder, and then it's look over to right field, look over to left field, looking around at the infielder. Okay, bat up on the shoulder now, and now I'm staring at you as though I can see exactly what you're thinking.
So I don't think the pitcher notices because he's getting the signal from the catcher.
But it'd have to be the whites of his eyes. It just have to be in the periphery of your vision. 2-2 the count here on Massey.
Confidence building. They're making this guy nervous. Look at him. His eyes darting around everywhere.
Well, see, that was the thing. That was the first time I saw Massey bat. I thought, is it nerves? But no, it's just the routine. And it took a bit of time to work it out. But he just looks around.
You can see the whites of his eyes.
You can. And he looks around at. He has his look around at everyone. Now he's just staring. Climbs the ladder and strikes out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Swings it underneath the high pitch. One down.
Now batting the designated hitter, number 24, Zach
Brings up Zach Wilson.
Wilson with a walk previously. Chase it a bit, Wilson. He's bat on ball. 0-1. gloomy looking evening here in Canberra. And inside, Wilson, good eyes, 1-1. Wind is starting to ease off just a little bit, I think. May not be such a good sign though, because there's plenty of rain around, and if the wind eases off, then the rain might suddenly start to expand. 2-0, bottom of the third here, 1 out for Canberra, 1-1 the count on the batter. And Wilson will get this over into centre field. Will be one bounce before it gets to Chester, but it's another easy single for Zach Wilson. The hit machine just keeps on producing them. That's hit number 45 for the season.
It just sort of plopped in, didn't it?
Hit them where they ain't, mate. Hit them where they ain't.
Get the bat on the ball.
There's a lot of empty space out there. You don't have to hit it to a fielder. So what's Krause got?
Well, this time up he's got 1 base runner and 1 out. His first time up he had two runners on and 2 outs. Checks his swing on a breaking pitch which falls in through the zone.
I was chatting with Hayden Beard last night in the very short coverage we had before the rains came and we started building arcs to get out of the ground. This man hits the ball and it makes it sound like nobody else. 0-2. We talk a lot about pitches, say Bunda for example, throwing a hard ball that makes a really resounding thud into the glove.
Yep.
When this man hits the ball, we were down there just outside the batting cage for batting practice yesterday, and you couldn't carry on a conversation while he was doing batting practice because it's just that loud when you're that close to it. Most other guys you can keep talking, but with Krause, it is very, very loud.
Oh.
We don't get a chance to hear it here as he gets called out on strikes.
For the second time this game.
Now back to first baseman, number 45.
What's the line from the Hulk? Don't make me angry, you won't like me when I'm angry. Krause called out on strikes twice. I know who my money, if I was a betting man, would be on third time around. Bosmo and Aroa comes in.
Hopefully he'll swing the bat next time.
Well, yeah, you've got a piece of timber on your shoulder. It's not much use up there.
Take it out of the umpire's hands. Don't die wondering.
Here's a man who'll never die wondering. Takes the first pitch for strike 1. Now, if we watch Bosmo and Aroa here, in the same way that we were watching Craig Massey previously, as we see Wilson out there at first, you don't see Boss's eyes as wide open as Massey's. He watches, suddenly goes out of focus. Great timing for us. I'll get that back to see if we can bring this to you. Too many things, too many moving parts here at the moment. Here we go. Oh. There we go. Oh. Here we go. So you don't see the whites of his eyes. He doesn't do the big stare. Focuses, but doesn't do the big stare. 2-1, gets a hit in the count. Wilson is thinking about getting around to second.
He's just looking for the high point of the hand from where the ball will come.
Different stuff to watch. It's popped up foul. It's going into the saloon area. Be a tremendous effort if Glendenning can get all the way across and take care of it, and he can't. And so, well, Wilson was, I think, round past second and 3/4 of the way to third before that landed. So he was really looking to turn it into a run if he could. Count stays at 2 balls and 2 strikes on Bosmo and Aroa, 2 outs and 1 on.
Yeah, 2 out, crack of the bat, off you go. Put the ball into play, you never know what happens.
Exactly. Interesting to see Boss has really hit a couple on the left side of the diamond here.
Got the shift on again for him.
Yeah, the third baseman is around almost at second, and Boss is trying to work it into the vacant space there. If he can get it up that third baseline, it'll be an easy single. You talked about players dropping a bunt. I know that he...
Wardy's down there putting a signal on and Boss is ignoring him.
Well, he could almost do it, you know. If he could drop a bunt up the third baseline, there's nobody within Cooey. It'd take the pitcher by surprise. And it wouldn't have to be a particularly soft bunt. He could just put a bunt that went 45 feet up the line.
Yep.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 1 on. Moanaroa puts the ball into play on the left field side. It's going deep, but not deep enough. It holds up on the wind, and Bojarski takes the catch and dismisses the side. The score remains 2-0 after 3 innings here at MIT Ballpark.
Now we've got a couple more Starlight acts to go tonight, but first, before we get there, it is the Duncan's Plumbing Toilet Toss.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Callum Murray.
Callum Murray.
Calamari.
Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare Iced Coffee.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Callum Murray.
Callum Murray.
Calamari.
Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare Iced Coffee.
Come on now, you've got 3 goes each. That breeze is pretty tough. Big one. Well, this is looking pretty sad, guys. Pretty sad. Come on, Josh. Hey, give me 1 more each. Let's go. We've got time. We've got time for 1 more each. 1 more chance. The closest one gets the prize. Ned, you're up. Not bad, Josh. You hit the stick.
Friday night baseball in the Australian League.
It's Ned.
And quickly checking what's going on around the grounds. Bottom of the 6th in Geelong, and the Geelong Courier side led early. They've given up some runs now. Brisbane lead that one in the bottom of the 6th by 3 runs to 1. Sydney have taken an early lead, very early lead, 1-0 in the first over Adelaide. And Melbourne and Auckland, well, they played what was meant to be a 7-inning game. It wound up going through to the 11th. Tiebreaker rules came in the 10th. And Auckland have walked off with a win in the bottom of the 11th. So you've got the bottom of the south of the Northeast Division knocking off the top of the Southwest Division, and suddenly Perth will say, well, we win tonight, we go top. So the whole sheep station to play for. But of course, most of the Perth players will be unaware of that. Tristan Gray out there at the moment batting up against Frank Gailey, 0-1 Gailey. He's throwing strike after strike after strike. And as is always the way with commentary, you give a guy a rap. So he's throwing strike after strike after strike. And he puts one low and away for ball 1. 1-1 the count here. Gray had a 4-3 infield out before, now 2-1. Gailey's count is getting up there, 50 pitches, 31 strikes so far. And levels the count back up at 2-2. Really having no problem at all in. I think the conditions are probably a bit easier for him now than at the start. It's a fly ball to shallow left. Kyle Perkins can't get to it. Takes it on the one on the hop.
That's a single to Tristan Gray.
And so Tristan Gray, the single, leadoff man on, and that is the 2nd inning in a row where the leadoff man has got on base for Perth. Back in the 3rd, it didn't make any difference. Gailey took care of the next 3. This time though, he's got Glendenning, Chester and Hall to contend with.
Now 3 hits apiece.
Every time we show the scoreboard, I'm trying to see where, if there's a mark where Kyle Perkins' home run hit it.
It hit on the left side where the home and away signs are, as far as I can remember.
You doubted yourself when you called that. It hit the scoreboard and come back in. You should have stuck with it.
It was the way the guys played it. The outfielder played it. And
Kennelly and Chester, well, they tried to fool everybody.
Yeah, threw it back in like it was off the top of the fence, but it hit the scoreboard.
I hope someone retrieved that ball and gave it to Kyle. 3-0. I'll make it 2-1 rather for Glendenning. Which one of the Perkins' brothers was it that hit it across the street from the Ainsley ground onto the roof of the fire station across the road here in Suburbanville? 2-1. I know one of them did it. at 3-1.
I know Cody Hightower did it years ago.
There's been a couple of players do it, I'm sure.
One of the guys at our club, our local club, talks about the fact that Cody hit him into the fire station.
Yeah. And that is a good 500 feet, isn't it? It is a long way.
It's a long way.
3-1. Runner goes. Throw comes across, and that'll be out. Yeah, absolutely. That's a suicide run from Tristan Gray. That was never really going to be on.
He's probably had a month to throw that.
I don't know how fast Gray was away there, but yeah, as soon as that was with the pitch, as soon as that was with Robbie Perkins, he was in trouble.
Yeah, there's delayed steals and delayed steals.
Yeah. So full count on the batter, 1 out now. Fly ball, foul ball, first base side. Count remains full. Yeah, if you're wondering where we're talking about, if you search for, well, the Ainslie Football Club's probably the nearest landmark on Google Maps. There's a baseball diamond there. The ground is in, the home plate is in the northeast corner of it, and the fire station is over the southwest fence. Not just over the southwest fence, but over the southwest fence, past some trees and across the street, and over some more trees. It's a long way.
The other side of the football club car park.
Yeah, it's a big, big home run. I'm sure it was one of the Perkins boys who did it. It's probably an honour roll somewhere of people who've done it. Count still full on the batter here, Robbie Glendenning. So truly trying to work Frank Gailey on the count. Gailey, almost a pitch out there. Was that wide?
That's a walk to Tristan Gray.
That's a walk. That's a second walk Gailey's given up for this evening.
I bet the Flyers got all the collection of baseballs.
Now back in the centre field, number 11, Carl Chester.
Now you start to wonder that Gray being caught stealing there before.
Well, they should have runners at first
They
and
should
second,
have runners
no
at
out.
first and second, none out. Instead, it's runner at first and 1 out. And if Chester hits into a double play here, the inning suddenly over without any damage done.
Chester hit a double his first time up, didn't he?
Did. Double to centre. 1-0. High and inside. Gailey comes down off the mound. To the very edge of the mound. Saw him rub the hand on the back of the pants for a second there, and then he's really given the ball a real work. So I'm just wondering whether he had some grip issues on the last couple of pitches.
Yeah,
Well, he's resolved them.
Found a spot there. He's thrown 61 pitches.
We're going to get through another couple of innings. 2-1. Inside, 3-1. Got Pearson at home plate. Barrington at first and Nash at third. Foul ball. You get the feeling this might be a really pivotal part of the game here.
I was just thinking that and wondering what sort of strategy Keith Ward has. We've got a couple of games to go, or after this one too, and the best part of 3 games to go in the series. Win at all costs. Can't leave anybody hanging out there to give up too many runs.
While the odds are that Canberra will be playing in the wildcard game, probably on the road, on Wednesday night. Most unusual night for baseball in the Australian League, that Wednesday night wildcard game. You can't factor that into the plan. You've got to think about the here and now and then deal with that game, if you're in it, as best you can. Still a full count here. 1 out, 1 on. Runner goes. Third base side. Warner runs straight over the top of it. Just skipped on him at the last moment, and now we've got 2 on, none out. So we've seen something go, sorry, 1 out, 2 on, 1 out. We've seen a little bit of luck go Canberra's way, and now a little bit of luck goes Perth's way. Yeah, that'd be baseball, I reckon. A little bit goes either way. E5. Carl Chester finds himself on base.
You're giving him an error, eh?
No, the scorers are giving him an error, mate. They came up as an E on the board.
Still a goose egg in
Oh, I saw an E on the board.
Oh, did you?
I admit that it now says 0 next to the errors, but it said E before. We'll see.
He should have picked it up. The runner went, so he was safe at second. There was a play at first. And don't forget that runner's been erased, so there should be 3 of them out there.
Should be bags loaded. Alex Hall in there, and it has gone officially down as an error by Cam Warner. It's not being reflected on the scoreboard at the moment. So Gailey, not sure what's happened here. Gailey is really
70 pitches.
Yeah. I've seen him throw 120.
Yeah.
Arm drops a little. Perkins working through plenty of signals behind home plate. 2-0 the count on the batter. This is going to go out to right field. Candelas comes around, gets it. Runners have to touch bag up. We'll see them both advance. It's another out. So Alex Hall, after an infield out, gets an outfield out. Wide a 9. Glendenning advances to third and Chester advances to second.
Yeah, Chester dives in there just to beat the throw. Second base.
So it's Ulrich Bojarski. Been away. I misattributed a stat to Bojarski before. I said he'd had 13 hits for 4 home runs. It was actually 7 hits for 2 home runs. Still a pretty decent conversion rate.
Well, as we said, the 8 and 9 hitters have got some very good production in what would seem a limited number of at-bats. The runners at second and third, 2 outs.
The strikeout here will Canberra. High and away though, the first pitch to Bojarski. He's capable here of turning this game on its head and putting Perth well in front. No. 1-1 as he swings through. Liked what he saw, liked the fastball. Gailey had it just down enough. Again, so he knows he's the go-ahead run. He knows he is the man to put his side in front if he can swing for the fences, and I think that's what he's trying to do. I don't know if the word subtlety is part of his baseball vocabulary. Now Gailey ahead in the count, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
But you know, a single scores 2, and that brings up Sam Kennelly. So
just don't think it's in Bojarski's game.
Go hard or go home.
I know he's been around for a couple of seasons, but
he's still a kid, isn't he?
Still a young man, yeah. I know Detroit had him. Was Detroit who'd signed him?
Yep.
His 3rd season in the ABL. Turned 20 last September. Shouldn't be already in his 3rd season in the ABL. 1-2. Foul ball. Count remains 1-2.
Doing his best to stay alive.
Chester's moving at second. He really is. He's keen as anything. He doesn't want to be standing out there. He wants to be back at home. Watch Chester moving here in the 11. Watch him moving on the pitch. Bear in mind he's got a runner ahead of him. Hard hit grounder, foul ball, first base side.
He's going to run into his back and push him over the plate.
You've got to be careful.
He can't overtake him.
Ulrich Bojarski, 20 years old, South African native. Prodigious talent. Again, a great credit to the Perth Heat organisation. Spoken to him a couple of times for interviews in the past. Always well spoken. 1-2. make that 1-3, strikes out. Frank Daly works through into a jam and gets his way out of it. Middle of the fourth, and it is still 2-0 to the home team. A vital Week 10 Australian Baseball League encounter between Canberra and Perth.
Hurry up with that thing.
Have you tried the grey cake?
Yeah, I've tried it all. Okay.
So who are you backing in this game?
With their three-point shooting.
Guys, relax. I got this.
Don't want to miss a second of the action this season? With Tabs Basketball Live Vision, you can stream games and access exclusive previews for free, anytime, anywhere.
Whoa, don't splash the box.
Yeah, don't splash the box.
Who are you backing this NBA season? Tab. Download the app today.
Canberra 2 lead Perth no score. Week 10, game 2 in the Australian Baseball League. It's Chris Coleman and Anthony Overs bringing you the action here on Cavalry Live, Facebook and YouTube, and also courtesy of our friends Australia-wide on NITV. Great to have your company, whether you're with us live or on our relayed out of season highlights packages. 2-0, oh sorry, 2-0 the score here. For Canberra, it'll be Robbie Perkins, Kyle Perkins, and Cam Warner. And how good is this to see these three guys? Local products, all three of them Canberra boys. Two of them now veterans of the side, and Cam Warner, local boy, went over, played the college system, played a couple of College World Series, now back home, playing here, and to see them back to back in the Cavalry lineup, being coached by Keith Ward as the manager, a former Canberra Bushrangers player and a proud Canberran, and the manager is Michael Collins, a Canberra product who's now on the coaching staff of the Houston Astros, and then Michael Wells also in the coaching dugout.
A former bushranger and bench coach for the Cavalry.
Admittedly, he's from Melbourne originally, but he's spent enough time in Canberra for us to call him a local now. He's been here for 20, 25 years or so.
And an ABL champion.
Asia Series champion.
Asia Series champion. He had the Player of the Year in the Championship Series. Championship year. Was it the Player of the Year? The Player of the Year.
Oh, the Player of the Year. Yeah, the home run.
The home run that
did it all.
Put them in the lead in the game too.
Shows what the Cavalry have done for baseball in this city, and 9 seasons in, as Robbie Perkins takes the first pitch low from Lowry in the dirt. 9 seasons in, I can tell you there's a lot of youngsters in this part of the world, and Anthony, I know you've coached a number of kids over the past few years. As Perkins puts this high into the sky, coming around underneath it is Sam Kennelly, but he won't be able to get onto it because that's gone into foul territory behind the bleachers.
Sam looked to his dugout for some assistance there. Where is it?
Yeah.
Pointing.
It's out of here. It's gone. Yeah, you're not going to get to that. Not even with Go-Go Gadget arms. But the impact that the Cavalry have had on baseball in this town, on kids, and the number of kids playing and the skill level of those kids now, it's been amazing over the last 8 or 9 years.
I think one of the key things I saw on a Facebook post was by a young fella called Liam Shearer, and he sent a message to Donald Lutz, and he said, in our first season I was the bat boy for you in the dugout, and last week I struck you out.
Not bad, eh?
That's
1 and 2.
Fantastic.
In the meantime, Lutz's journey, he'd come here, he played for Canberra while living in Brisbane from memory in the first season, came down, he played for us. For the Cavalry, and his journey took him off around the world, represented Germany in some WBC campaigns, played Major League Baseball, came back, played for Brisbane. Yeah, and Liam Shearer strikes him out. Great stuff. 1 and 2. Make that 2 and 2.
There's a good photo of those young fellas in that first season, those bat boys, and most of them are on the staff here for the Cavalry. Most of them have played in the national championships. Some of them have gone to college. I know Jake Green's off to college soon.
There's a kid with some talent too. I don't know. I'm 2 and 2. Well, the first time I really got to see Jake Green pitch, we did a bit of a trial of some broadcast gear here a couple of seasons ago in a club game. I don't know whether you remember.
Yeah, that's right.
And Jake Green was pitching a club game here. And he would have been, what, 16, maybe 15. And he was not out of place against guys twice his age, 2 and 2. He's off to college, I believe.
Last year he went to that MLB.
Yeah, the MLB Academy program.
Academy Showcase.
But I believe he actually had a choice of colleges. I'm not 100% sure of this, but I believe he had a choice of colleges. So there were multiple scholarship offers for this kid. 3 and 2. High. Did he go? No, he didn't. Perkins, patient, and maybe just a smidgen lucky to stop the bat in time. Gets the walk. But yeah, to see a kid like that getting multiple college offers.
Yeah, I was talking to his dad before the game, and he's had a few offers. I think they've settled on one, and they've got a plan for him. And he goes in a few weeks' time.
Just chalk that up. If you watch college ball, Jake Green, keep an eye on that name. And
he's a good kid.
He's a good kid, and his old man's a good bloke. Good family. Great to see good stuff happening to good families, and there's lots of good families in this cavalry organisation. Kyle Perkins next up. Robbie's taking a huge lead at first.
You're right, though, the impact that this team's had on local baseball. You know, more kids, year after year, registering with clubs. Sometimes you lose a few, then a few come out of the woodwork the following season. And they, we've been to cavalry games and watched the cavalry play and know the cavalry players.
Oh and 1. That 0 and 2 is Kyle Perkins elects not to swing on the next pitch, having put one foul onto the roof of the grandstand previously. I can't see any dents in that scoreboard, can you?
But it's inspiring for the young kids that when they see that there's a pathway into pro ball, through college, they know that Cam Warner's been to college and back. They know that Lee Mills has been to college. They know that these other young blokes are going up to college in the next year, in the next little while. Liam Shearer plans on going to college. Mitch Edwards has done it. They can see a pathway for junior baseballers.
Who knows? The world's their oyster at college. They perform well there. Hard hit by Perkins to third, to second, to first, double play. Nice work by the Perth Heat. Great by Glendenning. Didn't panic. Took plenty of time. Got the ball to Cosma. Cosma had time to turn an easy double play. They don't really get much easier than that. No. That was good, sharp infielding. But that's been a hallmark of the Heat, not just for the 9 years of the ABL, but go back to the Claxton Shield interstate competition and even to the old Australian League. I think probably consistently the sharpest infielding in Australia has always come from Perth.
Don't hit it to Joey Vaughan.
Well, I remember that. Cam Water comes in with the base paths cleared. Yeah, so the reason why I was leading on to that was that there's been a bit of talk about how Auckland have struggled a bit in this first season. The count goes in favour of Cam Warner, 1-1. But Auckland, I think, are going to bring a whole new dimension to baseball across the Tasman. A sport that they really haven't had any pedigree in at New Zealand. Warner foul ball first base side. Bear in mind there's a lot of kids in New Zealand, especially little boys who play softball. New Zealand have been on numerous occasions the #1 ranked men's softball side in the world.
That's right.
And if Baseball New Zealand can divert a fraction of that talent, they don't need every kid to stop playing softball. If they can just pick up a fraction of that talent, there is an assembly line of very, very good baseballers over there, 1 and 2. That 2 and 2 was one's in the dirt. That was well stopped by Hall, by the way. I was impressed there. Really did well to get the glove down behind it. Drop late, 2 and 2.
So Hall's no longer looking at the dugout for signs. He's calling the game himself.
Good to see. It's up a little outside. Warner chases a high pitch on the inside, swings through, strikes out. So 3 up, 3 down. Other than one, other than the 3 hits that he gave up in the second. It's been a pretty good outing for Connor Lowry, but all that aside, 4 innings in the books. The home side lead 2-0. MIT Ballpark, Friday night, Australian Baseball League action.
See this? This is what you mean to us. No, seriously. Why? Because we see greatness in you. It's right there, inside, just waiting to be discovered. And we should know, because we're number 1 too. Number 1 in the ACT, for full-time employment, for starting salary, for student support, and learning resources. Yep, all the things that matter. So even though we're number 1, you're still number 1 to us. Might sound corny, but hey, it's what.
We move to the 5th inning. So we go to official game territory after this. So probably an opportune time to check the weather radar. Let's have a very quick look at that. Sorry, Anthony, I'll turn your microphone on so we can hear what you can say, because you've got it open in front of you there.
Yeah, it looks all right. We're pretty clear for a while.
It's amazing. The rain's actually getting close to the western suburbs of Canberra, and then it's like Moses is standing there with the staff, and it's just parting and going around the city. So that's certainly good news.
Unlike last night when
no.
thunderstorms were spawning on the edge of town.
Yeah, last night I'm not sure who was there. It might have been Beelzebub up on Mount Ainslie calling for it. There's a great picture on social media last night taken from the top of Mount Ainslie that showed a bolt of lightning striking the ground, and I reckon it was landing only about 2 or 3 kilometres from this ballpark as the crow flies. And yeah, and I reckon that was the one that happened about 20 seconds before the game was called to a halt for the first time. We're down to the number 9 spot for the Perth Heat. Sam Kennelly is the man batting. He's already got to an 0-2 count.
You talked about local baseball, Chris. Of course, the National Championships on at the moment for under 16s and under 18s up in Blacktown.
Some interesting results there too. 0-2. Foul tip. Remains 0-2.
It's a big week of baseball for the young fellas.
Games all over the place too. Multiple diamonds in operation there. And I know there are scouts out by the dozen. Fly ball, centre field. Krause has to charge in, but gee, how does he make that look so easy? He's had to go from a standing start to full tilt, and then he just gets there as though he's got 10 seconds to spare. He makes it look so easy. Kennelly,
he's got some wheels.
Was that a little shake of the head from Kennelly on the way there?
Yeah,
on the way back in? I think, how did that get caught? That should have fallen in short.
He should be standing at 1.
Don't hit it to Krause. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's 4 Perth Heat batters who've flown up to Michael Krause already tonight. Tim Kennelly was the first of them, and he's back in for his 3rd at-bat tonight. But yeah, that under 16, under 18 combination. I love the idea that they hold both those tournaments at the same place concurrently as well. Fly ball. This one, yeah, see, don't hit it to Krause, or at least hit it to him so that it bounces a couple of times first and you can get on base. Tim Kennelly adds another hit to his burgeoning ABL collection. That would be his 49th hit for the season, by the way. Lazy number, 49. Plenty of them.
Having those national championships together is ideal for the scouts, for example.
Oh, yeah. I don't think it's a coincidence.
No, it's not. A little while ago, you were talking about former
pop-up. Taken comfortably. It didn't pop up as far as I thought. Might have been a broken bat in there. It didn't sound terribly woody on the way through. Sorry.
Right up on the handle. Former players from the majors that have come out here to extend their careers, or try to extend their careers. And just flicking through some photos the other day of us interviewing people like Jeremy Guthrie.
Mark Hamburger.
Mark Hamburger.
Yeah.
They were good times. That was a lot of fun.
A few guys come out to
And Delman Young came out and slugged away for a while too, trying to extend his career. Don't know whether it was overly successful.
Oh, well, he's just picked up, I think he just picked up the MVP in the Venezuelan League, which is why he didn't come back and play for Melbourne. He was on some sort of a deal where he was going to play in Venezuela and then come to Melbourne if the circumstances were right, but he stayed in Venezuela, picked up the MVP award over there. I think 0-0 for Pete Cosman on the subject of Major League guys. And this guy, think back, what year was it, 2012, where he won, he had the winning hit in the division series that put the Cardinals into the NL Championship Series? I'm sure it was 2012. Swings through, sends the ball foul, first base side. You got to go like this. It was a first round draft pick back in the day, about 12 years or so ago. Cards. Bats 200 plus in Major League Baseball, which is about 200 plus better than most people would bat in Major League Baseball given the chance. But here he is. Frank Gailey has him 0-2, 1 on, 2 out. Pop fly. Actually a bit deeper than that. It goes out towards Krause. Krause didn't move for a second there, so I thought it wasn't going to be in his wheelhouse, but he didn't move because he didn't have to. Took it quite comfortably.
He set himself up ready to drop and didn't have to at all.
So Cosma joins the Krause Catch Club tonight. He's the 5th Perth Heat player. I wonder if he'll get the complete set. He's got a few innings left to do it. Mid-game here, middle of the 4th, and it is Canberra 2, Perth nothing, MIT Ballpark. Well, here's a man who you very rarely see on a baseball diamond without a smile on his face. There's Etienne Pinelli, and now that the conditions have settled down a little bit here, how good does this ground look? And the colours of the ballpark, the grass looking particularly lush. You wouldn't believe we've had almost a fortnight of high 30s or 40-degree temperatures here.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, this ground was hard as nails. We hadn't had much rain.
So a couple of infield balls that were just, normally they would stop and slow, but they were just hitting and skidding through. Make it really difficult for the home side, for both sides in the infielding. This ground in just about perfect condition. I got to go for a bit of a walk out there this afternoon and yesterday afternoon. And that rain last night has really helped to soften it up. Perfect baseballing conditions here.
Yeah, it looks good.
Heading to the bottom of the 5th, and we're at the top of the lineup for Canberra. Not foreshadowing things, but should the Canberra Cavalry go 1, 2, 3 here, it will mean that we have seen both sides send through exactly the same number of batters. Because Perth have sent through 21, Canberra at the moment have sent through 18. But Francoso, I suspect, will have something to say about that. It's not often you can say this about someone in sport, but Francoso comes out there and he's as likely to get a hit as not, or as good as
50-50.
He's as close to 50-50 as I've ever seen in the ABL. Average started the game at 443. It's climbed to 444. I don't think we've ever seen an average that high this late in the season. I reckon he could almost not get another hit for the rest of the season and still be 400. Freakish numbers.
This is what every kid wants to do when they're playing baseball. 50-50.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to teach them that it's a game of failure and 1 and 4 makes you good. This guy's different.
Fly ball, that should be a catch, and is comfortably taken by Bojarski. So Francoso's had a pop fly out, a double, a fly out. I said before trends mean nothing, but we'll see what happens with this next one. Maybe there are some trends that mean something. Candella's in now. Candella's had a walk. A fly out to right field earlier this evening.
So the breeze has just dropped a bit. The temperature has dropped too. It's 30 degrees and the humidity's up to 37%. See that assisting some of those breaking pitches.
Much easier for pitchers now with a little more density in the air and not as much movement around. Candlestick at strike one. Connor Lowry. It's on the outside, 1-1. Draws a swing. It's ahead of the count.
Breaking pitch dropped under the bat there.
As mentioned before, David Candelas in the 35-man Team Australia squad. In the dirt, 2-2. The squad will assemble in Canberra after the ABL season finishes for a bit of a get-together. So this is a good indication as to who's in line for the WBC. We'll run through this squad in alphabetical order over the next few minutes. 2-2. Candelas. Fly ball. Now this may fall into the Bermuda Triangle. No, it's held up and it goes all the way to Chester at centre field. So 2 up, 2 down. So firstly the pitchers, Dean Aldridge, Tim Atherton, Travis Blackley, Josh Geyer, Sam Holland, John Kennedy, Steve Kent, Dan McGrath, Dushan Ruzic, Ryan Searle, Josh Tolles, Todd Van Stensel, Alex Wells and Luke Wilkins. Some pretty good pitching there. Massey, he struck out twice tonight.
First pitch to him is bowled in.
Middle stump, cartwheels out of the ground.
Falls very short.
Quite an achievement to get Massey to strike out twice in a game. Across the season, 36 games, 39 hits, 12 strikeouts coming into tonight. 36 games, 12 strikeouts.
How many at-bats?
Yeah, I knew you were going to ask that. Fly ball, just stays. Oh no, just goes foul. That was flaring away. I thought it was going to stay in, but it's landed foul by inches. Would you like to take a guess how many at-bats?
No.
Okay, 136 at-bats for 12 strikeouts.
That's pretty good.
Pretty good?
That's pretty good.
I'll take pretty good.
And 2 tonight.
And 2 tonight. Yourself a wrap, Connor Lowry. Nicely done. He's got Massey struck out swinging twice. He's got Krause struck out looking twice. Yeah, you take that home and say, yeah, I'll take those numbers.
You won't get Krause again tonight.
Got one guy who doesn't strike out twice, and I've got another guy who was batting 400, struck out looking twice. Massey, another one, foul ball, third base side. He's really working it towards left field. So who else have we got? Catchers. You've got Ryan Battaglia for the Team Australia squad, Alan D. San Miguel, Mitch Edwards, Alex Hall, Carl Perkins, Robbie Perkins. They've gone very, very catcher heavy, haven't they? Plenty of catchers in that squad. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Massey. And that's taken a horrible hit for Kennelly. It stayed low at him. He's suddenly had to drop the glove late. Don't know whether we can catch that again or not, but he's dropped the glove late onto that. It's hit him on the foot and cannoned away.
Put a glove on that boot.
Yeah. That's a bit tough.
It was cracked to him very hard.
Massey, well, 1 for 3 tonight.
You talk about catcher heavy, but those guys play in other positions and DH a lot.
Through the rest of the squad. Oh, actually, we'll do it now while there's a conversation on the mound, as I suspect that may be the end for Connor Lowry. So the other players who've been chosen in that squad, we've got Andrew Campbell, quick outfielder, Trent D'Antonio as a utility player, Wade Dutton as a utility player, Darryl George, Robbie Glendinning. Did I mention Josh Geyer as a pitcher before, or did I bypass him? I think I may have skipped over him.
Yeah,
Apologies, Josh. Josh Geyer in there as well. Further down, Luke Hughes, no surprise there. David Candelas, Tim Kennelly, Bosmo Onaroa, Mitch Nilsson, Zach Shepherd, David Sutherland, Logan Wade, Aaron Whitefield and Jacob Eunice. Apologies if I missed anyone. I've been doing that off the very small font of a mobile phone. But congratulations to those guys, and really looking forward to November. I'm trying to see if I can wangle some time off work to make sure I catch those World Baseball Classic games, although we don't know where Australia will be playing either, with that tournament being scattered to the 4 wins before converging on Japan for the final stages of it. 0-1 for Zach Wilson, who's 1 for 1 with a walk and a hit tonight. Oh, that was a well-placed fastball from Lowry. That was beautiful. Bottom inside corner.
Perfect.
They don't get much better than that. That was just bang on. That's right where you want to put him. You can't hit him from there. You just can't get him away from there.
He went there with the first pitch, and there's a big swing and a miss from Wilson.
You can't hit him there. Well, you can, but
he's behind 0-2.
You're not going to get much out of it. Goes to the well at the same time. Doesn't quite get it in the same spot. But he's ahead in the count here as the pitcher, so...
There's a breaking pitch, and Wilson picked it up. Managed to foul it away.
It's 2 outs, 2 strikes, 1 on, the runner at first. Well done, Alex Hall, getting behind that.
You bet, nice block.
That really had the potential to get away. And Hall's smart there. Okay, I don't need to get the glove on this. I've just got to stop it. Make sure it stays in front of me. Got there, took it on the chest.
Yep.
Smart play. Great to see.
Angled forward, bounces the ball back in front of him.
Nelson and Kennelly having a chat at first. It's a foul ball. It remains 1 and 2 for Zach Wilson.
Murray trying to get high outside. High fly ball to Duke, right centre, and a comfortable catch taken for the 3rd out. So the Cavalry leave a runner stranded, and after 5 innings here at MIT Ballpark, the home team leads 2 runs to nothing.
Now kids, it's now the time that you can get
Percy, Matt Percy, stadium announcer here at MIT Ballpark. Not entirely sure what he's doing out there. I think he's taking a drink out to right field with a couple of the kids. Out there, David Candless seeming to be enjoying himself a little bit out there at the moment. And enjoying himself out there on the mound. I think he knows no other way. He might look very fired up, and usually is very fired up. Frank Gailey on the mound. There's very few things he would rather be doing. Playing baseball. Loves the challenge. This will be interesting for him because he's got Tristan Gray, Robbie Glendenning, and Carl Chester. And if you're thinking that sounds a little familiar, just cast your mind back to what happened in the fourth, where it was Gray was the lead-off. Gray got a walk, Gray got a hit, Glendenning got a walk, Chester got on with an error. Gray got caught stealing in there, which potentially saved a run for the Cavalry. So, having prior to that, had Gray and Glendenning those out on infields out and Chester on a double. This is probably the part of the lineup, or it is the part of the lineup that's posed the most challenge for the Cavalry pitcher, Frank Gailey. As the first pitch is away on the outside corner, but it's called as strike one. One, make that 0-2. Tristan Gray not happy with himself. Indeed, far from happy. Be a fair way to describe that, the way he looked afterwards. So 0-2. Gailey works well outside. Count goes to 1-2. So lots of fast balls being thrown by Frank Gailey, but he's got a good one. He's got a slider in there that really does work. 1-2. Make that 2-2. Count goes to full, so good patience being shown by Tristan Gray, coming from an 0-2 count to get it back to full. So what's in the payoff pitch for this man up against Gailey? Well, it'll be a fly ball to deep centre. Krause is tracked back about 7 or 8 steps and looks like shelling peas. That's the 6th one.
Is he a first?
Yeah, that's that. Yeah,
he's going to get the set tonight.
Well, you'd think he's a good chance to now. So he's taken care of Tim Kennelly and Chris Clare in the first, Pete Cosmer in the 5th, Tristan Gray just then in the 6th. So Glendenning, Chester and Hall he hasn't got to yet. He's got Boyarsky in the 2nd and he's got Sam Kennelly in the 5th. So he's caught 6 of the 9 Perth Heat batters tonight. And now it's Robbie Glendenning.
And looks at the pitch in the top of the zone for strike one.
Again, a man with the selection for the Team Australia camp, now 1-1.
I must admit, Chris, that with this new broadcast booth here at MIT Ballpark, and air conditioning and the like, I stepped outside for a moment.
Yeah, you suddenly realise it's a little bit different, eh?
And the heat was like a punch in the face.
It's a foul ball, by the way, first base
Goodness
side.
me.
Yeah, it's very, very warm out there.
30 degrees still.
Now, I've suddenly lost all access to all stats under the sun. Not just in-game stats, but I've lost in-game stats. I've lost access to all stats. I suspect there's some sort of massive statistical meltdown here. Glendenning, the 1-2 pitch, swings through and strikes out. Strikeouts haven't been prolific for Frank Gailey tonight. I think that's just the 4th. Glendenning has been 2 of those. I was saying as we came back from the break, Anthony, while you were just outside for a moment there, that this was the part of the order that really has challenged Gailey this evening. Gray's had a hit, Chester's had a hit and got on for an error. Glendinning's had a strikeout and a walk prior to this, but Gailey's taken care of the first two, set him straight back down. Gray on that fly out to centre field and Glendinning on the strikeout. And he's got Chester, probably the man who's had the best of it against Gailey this evening. 1-0 the count on him in the 6th, and that'll be 1-1 on a fly ball.
So Chester had a double and reached on an error. The error was the ball rolling under Cam Warner's glove. Winds it just over the shortstop into centre field. And he's aboard with a single.
That's a single to Carl Chester.
I will safely say this: prior to the game, if I'd said to you, okay, who's going to go 2 for 3 out of the Perth lineup, and if you looked at everyone on that list,
I wouldn't have said he'd been on base 3 times.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said he'd go 2 for 3. Now you're looking there at guys like Tim Kennelly, 345, Tristan Gray, 302, Robbie Glendinning, 349, Alex Hall, 328. But that's baseball. When you're hot, you're hot. So he's on, 2 out.
He's been left stranded twice though.
He has. And Alex Hall.
Perth haven't been able to bring anybody in.
Hall's had a single, an infield out, 5 to 3, and a fly out to right field.
I think it's the first pickoff attempt.
Gailey doesn't like throwing it first. He really doesn't like it. He wants to focus on the batter. He'll do it when he gets the nod, when he gets the signal. But very clever of Robbie Perkins, the catcher, to not suggest it to Frank too often either, as he draws a big swing from Alex Hall. 1-1 is the count on the catcher come batter for Perth Heat. Chases one that's on the outside, goes to 1 and 2.
Great spot.
Runner goes, doesn't make one scrap of difference. As a 1-0 count becomes a strikeout on the following 3 pitches.
Fifth strikeout for Gailey.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Absolutely. I think they've all been swinging.
All swinging.
Middle of the 6th. The home team put 2 up after 2. That's been it for scoring tonight. Nothing wrong with a good old-fashioned pitching duel. Enjoy one. I'm sure that man does too. Matt Pearce behind home plate with the best seat in the house. But 2-0 here as we're in the middle of the 6th. The home side will be looking to add a few on, courtesy of Michael Krause, Boss Moanaroa and Robbie Perkins here at MIT Ballpark. Friday night Australian Baseball League action.
Follow the boats to the view at the top, the snap of the dawn to the pick of the crop. Across the horizon you jump, skip and hop and never stop.
To the bottom of the 6th inning in Canberra at MIT Ballpark with the Canberra Cavalry. We need to keep on winning to give themselves a chance to climb the standings and climb the seedings in the postseason, leading 2-0. Other games around the league. Earlier tonight, Melbourne and Auckland in the first game of their doubleheader. It went to Auckland 2-1 after 11 innings. Sydney and Adelaide playing tonight. Sydney, as that game goes into the top of the 4th, Sydney leading 3-1. And Sydney are batting in the top there, that game being over in Adelaide. Interesting. Geelong Korea, they led 1-0, they trailed 3-1, They pulled 2 back in the bottom of the 7th, so that game in the top of the 8th, and it's 3 apiece. That is one of the best sides in the business, the 3-time defending champions, the Brisbane Bandits, up against Geelong Korea, who've had a tough initiation to the Australian Baseball League. And they are sitting on 7 wins and 30 losses and got absolutely hammered last night. 21 runs to 3. So that's 3-all, that game in the top of the 8th. And Melbourne versus Auckland in the second game there. And believe it or not, Auckland, well, they're trying to do it again. They are leading by 1 run to nothing. That game in the top of the second. It'll only be a 7-inning affair, being a scheduled 2 7-inning double-header affair, but Auckland leading at the moment. Now we've got a pitching change for the Perth Heat.
26, the lefty.
The big lefty, Dan Schmidt. Had a good chat with Dan prior to the game. And Krause likes the first pitch he sees. He sends it down the line, and oh, it's just gone foul. Keith Ward doesn't like the call. I tell you what, Keith Ward, the Cavalry manager, thought it was fair. Umpire was right on the line.
Yeah, Ben Nash is right on the line.
Wardy's just going to go up and say, how much? Yeah, the short conversation, how much was that foul by? Wardy's, Nash says, yeah, no, enough. The conversation's still going on, by the way, between the umpire and the manager up there. Wardy's looking up there. Wardy doesn't believe him.
He's calling for electric eye.
He won't die wondering. Wasn't much in it. So, Dan Schmidt, I can't give you stats at the moment. I'm sorry, our stats engine has completely gone kaput.
Swings at the second pitch, fouls it back over the screen. Behind the stand. Krause quickly behind 0-2. But he's come out swinging at the first 2 pitches. Gets a piece, fouls it back through everybody to the backstop.
Well, there's more than one way to skin a cat, my friend. Dan Schmidt has 2 wins and no losses for the season. His ERA, always good. Dan Schmidt's ERA, 2.70.
This cat skinning you talking?
Yeah. I'm no vegan, my friend. Dan Schmidt brought up his 100th ABL game.
Pitch on outside for ball 1-2. 100 games?
100 games. Man who started as a pitcher back in 2010-11. In fact, he started as a starting pitcher as Krause puts this just into shallow left, and he's done it again. You were right, he didn't strike out.
It was a good pitch. It would have been a strike the whole way. It loops it into centre field.
But, yeah, Dan Schmidt, prior to tonight, had thrown 456 innings in the Australian Baseball League. He's struck out 281, but an ERA, career ERA of 4.5. So this year, he is having a vintage season. In fact, his best season ever in the ABL. In terms of ERA, 2.7, 30 innings pitched, 28 hits and 20 strikeouts. And a really nice guy. Got engaged in the off-season, getting married in May.
Must have been a victim of some no decisions. He's only got a 2-0 record. 10 starts, 2.7.
Oh, that's this year. 2-0 as a reliever this year.
Ah, as a reliever, sorry.
Yeah, but he's been a starter back in the day.
Right.
Yeah, starter 6-3, 10 starts 6-3, 10 starts 6-2, 12 starts 7-3, 12 starts 6-2. Racked up a lot of wins. We've got Boss Moanaroa. Boss sends the ball up the first baseline, and it continues into the outfield, and Moanaroa gets his first hit for the night and advances Michael Krause. Around a second.
Krause steps back just in time. He thought about going around the third, but the throw from the right fielder, Tim Kennelly, was a bullet to the shortstop at the cup position.
Yeah, Krause is quick, but
he wasn't going to beat that throw.
Nobody's that quick. But yeah, so Dan Schmidt, great to see him out there again. The other thing that those numbers from Daniel Schmidt show you is what a remarkable performance it is by Stephen Kent to have 7 wins, a 7-0 win-loss record this season. So the Canberra Cavalry, and in all likelihood we see Stephen Kent come back in to finish what he started last night. Now that's interesting. Robbie Perkins shaping to bunt there, I suppose, with a 2-run lead, 2 on and none out. it's worth trying, hey? Trying to advance the runner. It's a low-scoring game. 3 runs may be enough. With the bunt, drops it down. It's a pretty good looking bunt as well. Schmidt looks across to third, can't make the play, sends it across to first, completes the play, but the runners are advanced on the sacrifice bunt, and Canberra with 2 in scoring positions.
Perfect play from Robbie.
That's beautiful. That is how you do it.
It went a little straight back to the pitcher though. I thought there might have been a play at third, but the runners were gone.
Well, Krause has got so much speed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Krause is just so fast.
Schmidt had no choice but to go to first.
The only thing that could have improved on that play would have been if it had dropped another foot short, or not rolled another foot, but you can't really control how far it's going to roll. If it had rolled another foot short, Perkins may have even been the first to load up the bags, but really doesn't make much difference. 2 on, 1 out. And here's a man who's had 4 home runs for the season, one of them earlier tonight off the scoreboard. Kyle Perkins, he's taken the first pitch, 1-0. Schmidt sits up high for 2-0. Walk loads the bases. A hit you'd imagine will score 1. I know Boss would like to think that he could get home on a good hit, but I don't think he's quite that quick.
The infield's in, all protecting the run. Anything to the infield's going to the plate. And it's up through the middle.
Drilled it. Now, will Boss get home here? He's been sent. The throw's coming in. Moanaroa is tagged out. Cavalry score 1. I hate to put on the Chris Stradamus hat and say I saw it coming, but can I say I saw it coming?
You did. He got down for the slide, but he ended up 6 feet short.
It's, yeah, not ideal. But Kyle Perkins, he's on a double. Well,
the Krause scores.
Krause scores.
3-0. So the infield in, goes up the middle. And good running. Sees him at second on the throw to the plate.
More importantly, in the grand scheme of things, we have a score change. 3-0 to Canberra over Perth. And Cam Warner takes strike 1. Warner, I think he might be in trouble here. Picked up by Glendenning. Tell you what, Warner showed some speed there, but still unable to beat the play across the diamond. 5-3, Glendenning to Sam Kennelly. Apologies. First time I've done that tonight. But the Cavalry put another one in the books, and they lead 3-0. 6 innings down in the Australian Baseball League, and they can look at things and say, yeah, we're doing okay, because next time around, back at the top of the order for the Canberra Cavalry.
So was Keith Ward being too aggressive there, sending Boss? If you hold him up, you've got runners at the corners with 1 out.
If he beats the throw, you're up by 4.
Yeah.
Low scoring game, 3 runs might be enough. Perth haven't had a lot of guys on base. I think they've only had 1 inning where they've had 2 guys on base. Let's have a look. They got 1 on in the first, 1 on the second, 1 on the third. Had 2 on at one stage of the 4th, 1 on the 5th, 1 on in the 6th. They've had a man on in every inning.
Including a couple of lead-off guys.
So, could well have been. But, you know, you've got to roll the dice, and I don't think there's anything wrong with when you've got a 3-run lead, yeah, you might as well roll the dice. It's better to roll the dice when you've got a 3-run lead than to be having to roll the dice when you've got a 3-run deficit. Charity presentation going on there, $3,000 to Lifeline, and I should say a big hello to everyone involved at Lifeline, charity partners here at the Canberra Cavalry. Do some great work and plenty of fundraising activities at the Canberra Cavalry here, and some local radio personalities, and a man who you don't get to see in the flesh at the baseball a lot because he's usually wearing a costume. We come back to the 7th inning of baseball here in the Australian Capital Territory.
So Frank Gailey returning to the mound. 106 pitches. First pitch is a strike. Swing and a miss at a low pitch. Quickly behind in the count, 0-2. Ground ball picked up by Warner. Hard throw to Boss at first, makes the out. So a fly out, a strikeout and a ground out for Bojarski. One down for the Perth Heat.
Now batting in first base, number 24, Sam Kennelly.
Brings up Sam Kennelly. He's one of the victims of Michael Krause flying out in his second at bat. He had a single to left field through the gap in his first time up. Big swing and a miss.
Tell you what, Krause is going to have some work to do to get the complete set of fly eights now as victims.
Oh, much slower change up there from Frank Gailey.
Timed that one with an hourglass.
Counts 1-1 with one out. And swings over the top of the pitch. A strike two. Unhappy with himself as he walks around back to the righty's batter's box. Ground ball, Warner again, takes his time, has a punt, throws to Boss. Another 5-3 ground out for the second out. Here in the top of the seventh.
I'm crunching the numbers for you on Connor Lowry, and we can get them to you now.
Yeah, good.
It's a little bit of time to get to these, but yeah, through 5 innings tonight, 99 pitches all up, 61 strikes. In those 5 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, both of which were earned, courtesy of the Perkinses. 3 walks, 5 strikeouts, just the 1 ground out and 6 flyouts.
And of course, those 2 runs coming on the homer.
The top of the order, Tim Kennelly.
Looks at a breaking ball falling in. Strike one. .112 pitches for Gailey. This might be his night here in 7. Foul ball over the screen. Into Snake Gully, 0-2. Look at that shot though, he looks fresh.
He looks like a man who could throw 140, doesn't he? I'll guarantee his left arm probably feels like it's made of rubber.
Oh, ground ball, he knocks it down, has time to recover,
oh.
Throws over to Boss. Boss tosses the ball into the crowd, side away. Middle of the 7th, time for the stretch, Chris.
Just before we break going into the stretch, again, thank you to Frank Gailey. I suspect that may be the last we see of him in a Canberra Cavalry uniform. I don't know if he's going to come back again, but if that is the last we see of him in regular season baseball, what a great performance that'll be. 113 or so pitches, 75 or so strikes, and somewhat fitting, I guess, that the last one's a 1-3 off a comeback because he had to deal with a lot of those during the course of the season and done them well. A really good man. Frank, thank you for everything you've done for Canberra baseball. We're at the stretch, where it is 3-0 Canberra over Perth in the Australian Baseball League.
Follow the post to the view at the top, the snap of the dome to the peck of the crop, across across the horizon, you jump, skip and hop, but never stop.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Callum Murray.
Callum Murray.
Calamari.
Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
Mr. Murray, have you decided on a name?
We're thinking Callum.
Callum Murray.
Callum Murray.
Calamari.
Let's make it Jack.
Drink it through with Dare iced coffee.
We're heading into the bottom of the 7th here at MIT Ballpark. Round 10 of the Australian Baseball League. And it is game number 2. Perth coming in 22 and 14, Canberra 21 and 15, but the home side with a chance to maybe climb up in the seedings this weekend. Quick check of what's going on around the grounds. Brisbane and Geelong Korea, they locked at 3 apiece in the top of the 9th. Sydney have gone berserk. They've opened up a huge gap. They lead 9-1 over Adelaide in the 4th, and they're still batting there. Melbourne and Auckland. Auckland won the first game there, and they lead in the second game 1-0. But we return to live action with Michael Francoso at the top of the order for the Canberra Cavalry, and he likes what he sees from Dan Schmidt. First pitch sends it up the first baseline, but it just spears wide of first base into foul territory.
We've seen a lot of that tonight, Chris, swinging at first pitches.
It's baseball these days, isn't it? I remember when you were a kid and I was a kid and playing the game, you were always told, have a look at the pitcher, especially when you're someone new, have a look at the first one. It's not going to hurt you. Not anymore.
You don't want to give the pitcher, one pitch, one out.
Francoso ignores the breaking ball. That's a I think the phrase there is a wry shake of the head. That is the very textbook definition of a wry shake of the head, isn't it?
It just fell out of the sky. He's behind 0-2. Swings hard at the third pitch and strikes out.
He's human. I don't believe it. He's struck out and he's only gone 1 for 4 tonight.
Well, his average is plummeting.
Seriously, it's got nowhere else to go. It couldn't keep going up. It'll still be 400 and something.
Candleless in the box.
These two would have faced each other 1,000,000 times.
Yeah, a lot. He looks at strike 1. Oh, Kennelly picks the ball up, tosses to Schmidt for the out. Nice pitcher cover. 2 down for the Cavalry here in the bottom of the 7th.
This is in danger of being the fastest half inning of the night.
It's at 5 pitches. 3 strikes for Francoso, 2 swings for Candleless.
Well, they've decided that they want to go after Schmidt.
Massey in the box. Fastball low and away to the lefty. Straight to Kennelly. He tells Schmidt he's got it himself. Makes the out. And you're right, Chris. 7 pitches, a very quick bottom of the 7th. The Cavalry still lead the game 3-0 here at MIT Ballpark.
We're playing poker or baseball. Fast game's a good game. It's done. So, not sure what we've got something to do with our music event here, so we'll worry about the baseball at the moment. I'm just looking to try and see whether there's any change down the line from the Canberra Cavalry, or if they're going to send Frank Daly out again. Oh, I'm seeing someone else out there on the mound. I think that's Madison Young going to have to wait for catcher to move out of the way.
31.
It is indeed Madison Youngana. Not bad when you can pick a guy from 200 feet away from just the way his hair sits on the back of his head. Mind you, there's another giveaway. Now that I'm thinking of it, there's another giveaway that I should have looked at first, and that's his socks. And I'm not sure whether we can get a shot of the pitcher's socks or not. But if we can get it from our first base camera from behind, it'll be a little bit more of a giveaway for you. You can see it in that, but you'll see it when we come to our first base camera. He does give away a little bit of his playing history, Madison Youngana. If you look very closely at the top of the socks, you'll notice that while they're orange and black, which is the Canberra Cavalry colours,
it's Major League logo.
Yeah, they're San Francisco Giants socks, my friend.
MLB logos on the socks.
Yeah, that is a Major League Baseball logo on there. I don't know what the rules are about wearing socks, but yeah, he likes the MLB ones. They may be his lucky socks, and good luck to him that he's actually earned them by playing in the major leagues. And great to see him too, by the way, mixing things up here, Madison Youngana. Coming in tonight, he's pitching. Last night he was the designated hitter.
Yep.
I mean, he does have a fairly handy batting average in minor league baseball of 273 in AAA. So he is hashtag pitcher who rakes. His ABL batting average prior to last night was 400. Sure, that's 2 from 5, but it's still 400. And tonight, he's on the mound. So what does Chris Clare have against a man who's a former major leaguer and looking to get himself back into the bigs? Shapes the bump for the first one, pulls the bat out of the way at record speed and gets ball 1. There's some serious heat being thrown here, by the way. Clare 0 for 3 tonight. Now 2-0. Iron inside, so we have seen Youngana. It's actually a phrase I haven't used a lot of this season, the feast or famine pitcher, Anthony. We talked about a few of these guys in Cavalry colours over the years. As he can come out and throw absolutely lights out and strikes all over the place. Or guys who can be a little bit wild, and it's usually the guys who are fairly quick. Plenty of speed. I'm thinking back to, well, John Holtzcombe would be probably the most notable of them, but we've had a few others over the time.
They're either on or they're not.
So 3-1 now. And Youngana works on the inside, but it stays on the inside. And 4 balls, and it's a walk to Chris Clare. He's on base for the first time tonight. They won't give Youngana a long lead here.
A hell of a short leash. Deserve a 3-run lead.
Frank Gailey has a 4-2 win-loss record this season. He's had a couple of those no decisions where the games that were in front when he left the mound, and the bullpen haven't been able to hang on to the lead for him. So, well, Cavalry fans will be hoping it's not a case of history repeating tonight.
Starts off with a strike.
So, ex-major leaguer up against ex-major leaguer. Had a lot of that this season in the ABL. 0-1. Drills it. Oh, great diving stop. Fran Soso. And then it's undone by a wild throw, which may well see a run scored here for the Perth Heat. Because Chris Clare has gone all the way around from first. The throw comes into Perkins at home, but the Perth Heat have pulled one back after some good fielding goes bad. Almost sounds like a cheap reality TV show when good fielding goes bad, but for Perth it is reality, and for Canberra, well, they have to confront the fact that suddenly the tying run is at the plate in the shape of Tristan Gray.
There's a great stop by Fran Soso, but I don't think he had any right to be throwing that. There was no way he's going to get the out at second. Throws the ball away, and it gets away a long distance over to the fence. Unfortunate error for the Cavalry.
So Tristan Gray is in. Cosma is all the way around at third. Cosmer, it's been scored as an E6.
Another ball outside. 3 balls, no strikes. No outs, runner at third.
Shows how quickly this game can change on you. Can come back and bite you very quickly. And a 4-pitch walk for Tristan Gray.
That's a walk to Tristan Gray.
Now you're leaning out the window there, Anthony, to try and see if there's anyone coming up from the Cavalry dugout to go and have a conversation with the pitcher, or if there's anyone up in the bullpen.
Somebody left the dugout and went halfway down to the bullpen and waved their arms a couple of times, so I think that's the signal for you better get ready very quickly. No visit. Runners at the corners, no outs.
Youngana goes for the breaking ball and it works quite nicely for him. He gets ahead of Robbie Glendenning.
It's a good pitch.
That is a good pitch. Really has to work on the batter at this point. Get the first one out and bring the double play in as a potential weapon. A little bit hard to pick, courtesy of umpire Nash's positioning there, but I think it was on the outside or a bit further on the outside. 1-1. Well, he's now making the batters swing at it, which
good.
You've got to have that. You've got to be putting it somewhere that they have a go at it. Super important pitch here. 1 and 2. None out. They've already scored 1 in a 3-run. They have to erase part of that 3-run deficit and have runners at the corners, first and third. Tying inside. Robbie Perkins has a look up the first baseline. Tristan Gray had taken a few steps up towards second, but was never really seriously thinking about going. And also bear in mind that he's got a runner at third that he's got to hold there. Looked like Perkins to hold the runner at first. The 2-2 pitch. Fly ball, right field, it'll score 1. It may score 2. And again, it's got over David Candless. That's a couple that have done that tonight. Brought 1 home, and boy, oh boy, was Tristan Gray fast.
So runners at second and third.
So now it's 3-2. And suddenly, Perth, not just in with a chance to level it up, but a chance to take a lead, and a lead of multiple runs as Cavalry pitching coach Brian Grenning comes out for a conversation. So
all of a sudden that Boss Moanaroa being sent to try and score another run may have been an important out.
Indeed, but you can only play the game in the situation that you're in. The situation that he was in was that it was a 2-run lead, getting it out to 3 in the 6th inning. Not even a bad idea, and taking the chance to get it to 4. Well, you're looking at it as an insurance run at that stage. You don't expect that you're going to cough up a 3-run lead, but an inning and a half later. But here we are.
Tying run on third.
Tying run on third. Go ahead run at second. And Carl Chester, a man who's gone yard 6 times this season, who's 2 for 3, plus getting on with an error due to an error. So he's been on base all 3 times tonight. Takes the first pitch.
He's due to fly out to centre field though, isn't he?
Well, that's true. He hasn't flown out to Michael Krause yet, who's caught 6 people tonight. Glendenning probably won't have that happen to him now, as he's got on with a single or with a double to right field earlier. 1-0. What does Chester have here? I'm going to just inside. 2-0. Just wonder whether this is the last chance saloon for Madison Youngana here. He walks this batter. I can't imagine they'll give him another chance. Ball in the dirt. It's outside. So 3-0. Robbie Perkins doing a great job to stop that.
That's where you need your best blocking catcher to stop that run scoring.
You just lean out the window again and see if there's any signs of life in the Cavalry bullpen. I know it's very hard to see from where we are.
It is a bit. Yes, I can see some.
There's movement.
Somebody up there.
That's all we can tell you. There's movement in the bullpen. 3-0. High and inside. That's a walk that loads the bases with none out. And I'm reminded right now of...
Here comes the change. 40's on his way out.
Yeah, the many hours I spent as a kid building houses of cards. I was actually pretty good at it, Anthony, building card houses as a youngster. And the thing was, I always liked to try and build them so that you could, when you wanted to bring the whole thing down, you could just pull the one card and the whole thing would come down and there'd be nothing left standing. And you just get the feeling, looking at this, that the Cavalry are at that point where now one card and there's nothing left standing. They've given up 2 runs out of the 3-run lead they had. And I'll be intrigued to see which way they go here.
So bases loaded and no outs. 33's wandering in.
Well, let's see what Lem's got.
It's
Zach Lamond.
Speaking of hot or not.
To his credit, he's been more hot than not.
Needs to be light in here.
Well, that's the thing. This is where you need to be turning it up to turning up the wick to maximum.
This is that ugly stat that you find in the box score, that inherited runners and how many of them scored. So he's inheriting 3 runners.
Madison Youngana will wind up with 2 hits against him from 0.0 innings pitched. So he'll have the infinite ERA for this evening. Walked 3 and struck out nobody. Only threw 19 pitches. 5 of them for strikes.
5 of 19.
Yeah. Well, when you walk 3, that's going to be 12.
That's not his best outing.
No.
That's an understatement.
Somewhat. We move to Zach Lamond. Lamond this season an average an ERA of 2.25. I spelled with the Cavalry a couple of years ago where it really was lights out across. Again, one of those oddities. Zach Lamond, 16 games, an ERA of 0.95 off 19 innings pitched, but a win-loss record of 1-2. So you've got to, sometimes you've got to scratch your head about numbers. This season he's pitched in 13 games for the Cavalry, 16 innings pitched, 13 strikeouts, ERA is 2.25, and he has a 1-1 win-loss record. So, well, with bases loaded, it's a tough ask. But he loves a challenge. Does Zach. 1-0 is the count that he has on Alex Hall. Hall 0 for 3 tonight. Swings through and strikes out. The plus for Zach is that even if he just focuses on the batters here, he's got Hall who's 0 for 3, Boyarski who's 0 for 3, and Kennelly who's 1 for 3.
It counts 1-1.
Cavalry be more annoyed as well about the fact that they've had to go to a 3rd pitcher here without getting to the 9th. They would have been potentially looking at Zach to come in and pitch just the 9th. Yeah, maybe Bunda, maybe Mikami, maybe somebody else who gets a strike. 2-1. 2-2 rather. It was 2-1, 2-2.
Yeah, it's essentially game 1 of the 4-game series, and they're into the. You don't want to go too deep into the bullpen in the first game.
Nearly 2 fewer innings to be thrown in game 3. It'll be a 7-inning affair now, but gee, not happy with himself, Alex Hall. That is the classic sucker punch. 2 two low fast balls, and then the third one up high, and the batter just climbs the ladder and goes for it.
That's good pitching and good pitch calling from Robbie Perkins.
So Alex Hall, his second strikeout for this evening, and in comes Ulrich Bojarski.
Looked like he wanted to try and break that bat across his knee, but he maybe he knows he can't.
You don't really want to try and do that.
Crucial out for the strikeout for the first out. So the defence is playing for the double play, I'd say here. The corners are not in. Standard spots for the middle infielders.
A bit foul. 1-0. That's it 1-1. Zek hasn't thrown a lot against Perth. Well, why can't he throw against thrown 6 at bats altogether against Perth? Joey Wong once, Jess Williams once, Tim Kennelly twice, Luke Hughes twice, struck out Hughes twice, and gave up no hits to the others. Walked Joey Wong once. No sin in that. Sometimes walking Joey Wong was a better idea than actually letting him hit the thing. But yeah, 2 strikeouts against Luke Hughes, and Hughesy was playing for the Perth Heat. That one on your resume. As for the fastball, that didn't miss by much. 3-1. Now there's real pressure on here. Bojarski, with that hitter's count, 3-1. 1 out, bases loaded. Side is down by 1. Hits it back to the pitcher. The pitcher sends it to the catcher, but the ball's actually come off the home plate and gone back into the field of play, so foul ball.
No, it's come off the batter because the plate is in fair territory. Matt Pearson was quick with his arms up there.
Yeah, it's gone foul. Ouch. He didn't flex, he didn't move. I thought it might have come off the plate into the catcher and back in, but he didn't flinch. They make them tough in South Africa though. So now it's a full count, 1 out. Not quite chaos ball, but pretty close to it. Fly ball's gone a long way up. Moana Roa sets under first base. Takes it. So no chance of the play in the Cavalry. Well, they've put their fans through all sorts of heart failure this season.
Big cheer from the crowd then for the second out.
Moana Roa, the catch there. A couple of years ago, there was a similar situation where Boss Moana Roa took a catch at first base and was absolutely cleaned up by a runner. I can't remember who the runner was. Just continued, charged up the line and ran straight through him. Didn't stop. I just had a flashback to that there. I wasn't suggesting that it was going to happen. It was just something that just popped into my mind.
I've forgotten who that player was.
No, I don't think
suspended later on.
Yeah, I don't think we need to mention the names. Maybe people will remember him. Okay, well,
the pinch hitter.
Gone for a pinch hitter. Can't say you blame him for that. Sam Kennelly, he's 1 for 3 tonight, but Bowie, he's a man who's produced on multiple occasions for Perth.
First pitch misses outside for ball 1.
I think they maybe like the idea too of the lefty up against Lemond. Bowie averaging 289 today.
Ball 2, the crowd wanted that as a
They
strike.
did. Super experienced. The Perth Heat roster since 2013. Got a hit in the count here, 2-0. And perhaps a slightly ironic cheer from the crowd.
Big swing and a miss for strike 1.
So 2-1 now. Bowie, geez, working the gum there. Really chewing away. Swings, ground ball. Goes to Massey. Across to Moanaroa and the Cavalry. Well, you can tell from the crowd reaction there that the Cavalry have maybe gotten themselves out of jail there. They were looking down the barrel of having coughed up a 3-run lead in the 8th. Bear in mind, a few weeks ago, it was a 5-run lead they gave up in the 8th. So the fans here will have very, very long memories of that. It's a game that won't be forgotten in quite some time. But
could Perth have done any better here, Chris, with bases loaded and no outs?
Well, they could have, but at the same time,
at the plate.
Look, it's hard to score runs. It's been a pitcher's game.
14 hits, 7 apiece.
Well, Perth, as we go back to the top of the order for the 9th, it'll be Tim Kennelly, Chris Clare and Pete Cosma. And I just wonder what Zach Lamont's got. Mind you, he'd be feeling pretty good. He'd be feeling pretty good. He wouldn't have thrown. He's only thrown a handful of pitches there, probably a dozen. So he'll be pretty happy with how he's feeling. I reckon he'll have plenty left in the tank. And a man who'll be even happier will be Madison Youngner, just incidentally. Because he was in the gun to give up a whole host of runs there, but in the end it'll be just the 2 runs that he's given up. Not the 2 hits, both of which were earned. But yeah, like I said, 19 pitches and 5 strikes. So that's all she wrote.
But the lead has been preserved for the win.
Frank Gailey, he gets to hang on to it for. He's only going to hang on to it for one more inning. So we'll see whether he gets it. And a pitching change coming up, as you can see on the mound there. That is Josh Rawlinson for the Perth Heat, and suddenly a man who'd be looking to potentially get a win here. If his side can score some, if he can hold on here and then his side can score some runs, he'll be the pitcher of record and get the win, potentially. There's one already for the season. 1 win, 1 loss from a grand total of about 16 innings pitched, I think. He's been used sparingly. 15.2 innings pitched, in fact, across the season. They make it 16.2 across the season. My maths failing me for a moment. 16.2. Giving up 1.08 walks or hits per innings pitched. 12 strikeouts from those 16 innings. 16.2 and 13 hits. ERA 2.16. And plenty of heat on that first pitch. Go. No, he didn't. Pitch was well away on the outside. 1-0. So Zach Wilson gets ahead in the count. And that's not where you'll want to be if you're a pitcher behind Zach Wilson. Wilson takes the second, has a go at it. Pops it into the sky, and there you can see Dan Schmidt. Well, there's the price you pay for being a pitcher, hey. You go out there, you throw a couple of dozen pitches and
get the ice on it.
Yeah, thanks for your efforts. Here, have a large bag of ice to strap to yourself. One in the dirt.
Industrial Glad Rat.
So it really is the game within the game now. There's Wilson on a 2-1 count. Chases a high pitch. Oh, he hates himself for it. He knew as soon as the bat came off the shoulder that he shouldn't be going after it. He's gone through with it and looked very annoyed with himself afterwards. Count levels up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. And Wilson strikes out. Wilson 1 for 3 tonight now with that strikeout. Added to a fly out and a single to centre field. Dan Schmidt tonight, by the way, through 2 innings, gave up 3 hits, 1 earned run, struck out 1, walked nobody. Total of 20 pitches, so not even 2 dozen to earn the bag of ice. 20 pitches, 15 of those were strikes and 4 ground outs, no fly outs. Doesn't give up a lot of fly outs, Dan Schmidt. And Rawlinson, well, he's just given up a big one here. It's going out towards left field. It's going. Oh, it is gone. It is gone, and Michael Krause, it leaves the house. And the Cavalry, they're back to a 2-run buffer, 4-2. Might have been Canada night last night, but for Michael Krause, it's Canada night tonight.
swinging at first pitches has paid off. Michael Kraus swings at the first pitch. Huge fly ball over the fence.
And I think that they've awarded that as the Dare hit too. It's gone pretty well straight over the Dare Iced Coffee sign. It didn't hit it, but that has been, I think, officially awarded as a Dare Iced Coffee.
And talk about an insurance run. It's now 4 runs to 2.
Wowzers.
Boss is in the box. Looks at a pitch outside. The shift is on again for him.
Boss Monaroa, that was a cricket shot from him. The front foot came down the wicket, the left knee hit the ground, and he drove straight through it, but off into foul territory. 1 ball and 1 strike. Boss has 1 for 3 tonight. Well, the softest catches you'll see to shortstop. It may have actually been to the third baseman, I'm thinking now. I've got it down as a catch at 6, but I think the shift was on, so it was actually a catch at 5.
The shift was on. It was the third baseman, but he was right in the
in the shortstop spot. So I called it Gray. I've just realised it was Glendinning.
Because they're just moving them around. They're not swapping the third baseman over the other side of second. They're just moving everybody around.
I don't feel so bad. In the official scoring, it's actually listed as lines out to shortstop Tristan Gray, so it may well have been before they put the shift on against Boss.
Oh, he was definitely the only person.
Yeah, it was definitely to the shortstop position, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Full count on the batter. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and Boss Monaroa. Oh, look out! Listen to the crowd.
That is gone.
Oh, it is a trademark Boss Monaroa bomb.
That has landed on field 2 down over the right field fence. He has absolutely smashed a 3-2 pitch, and Tim Kennelly in right field has just watched. He didn't even move. Put his head down. He knew that was gone.
Here he comes across the plate. Gives the big salute to the grandstand.
Salute to the box.
And now the Canberra Cavalry.
5-2, the Cavalry lead.
They've got back what they lost.
Solo shot from consecutive batters.
I think the only time I've seen back-to-back-to-back home runs in the Australian Baseball League was an Adelaide-Perth Championship Series a couple of years back. And I think Adelaide went back-to-back-to-back and then lost the game.
So Boss looked at that pitch for strike 2 on the bottom of the zone, and he was going for anything on 3 and 2.
You can put all the shift in the light on.
Stick everybody down on the warning track at right field.
Yeah. When it clears them by 80 feet, it really makes very little difference. The reason I mentioned back-to-back-to-back is because, well, this guy could do that. Robbie Perkins, 20 hits for the season, 3 home runs. And if he gets a home run here, which he might just have done, it's going a long way back. Now it's going to hold up, and it's dropped. It's gone to ground. Perkins will get a double out of it. We'll get 2 bases out of it.
Twisted himself in half.
I think he misread that. I think that's...
He's hustling back as quick as he
could. I reckon that was actually going faster off the bat, and the wind has held it, because I think that was... Off the bat, that sounded like it was gone. And I think Chester initially didn't move because he thought it was gone, and then it started to hold up. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt on that, because I reckon that was pretty close to being out of his reach, and then he's realised it's slowing up on him.
It was to dead centre, would hit the batter's eye, but it dropped.
It dropped suddenly.
But he was not out of position, but it was over him, and he twisted the wrong way, straight over his head. He didn't know which way to go. He's had to go and pick it up off the warning track. Quick visit to the mound. Kyle Perkins comes to the plate. His brother Robbie standing at second. There's 1 out. Home side's up 5-2. Another first pitch swing is fouled off. Cole is absolutely fooled by a slower breaking ball. He was swinging at a fastball. Got a bit of a grin on his face, I think.
Well, he's enjoying himself.
Watches that one come inside and very low. 1 and 2. Ball in the dirt, bounces away. Off the catcher's chest plate, back into the field. The pitcher picks it up. Robbie Perkins jogs over to third. Alex Hall a bit annoyed with himself.
Wasn't much you could do there, really.
No, not at all.
We've been incredibly blessed with the weather here. As suddenly the wind starts to pick up. Kyle Perkins strikes out, and
2 away.
Unfortunately, someone's decided to go and climb on our camera platform. So, apologies if our camera starts to wobble a wee bit here. It's Cam Warner, who's 0 for 3 tonight. He's one in the dirt. Hall does a good job to get that to drop down in front of him.
Against the run from scoring.
It's gone a long way from Warner, but not quite far enough. Underneath it is
Chester at centre field.
I'm just double checking actually. Yeah, Bowie stayed in as first baseman, so just making sure there wasn't any other change out there because it's a long way to Chester, but it was indeed him. He's wrapped it up.
That's the third out, but the Cavs scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th.
Yeah, and yes, there you can see.
There's the idiot.
There is an idiot. So, yeah.
The Cavs lead 5-2 after 8.
Hopefully that someone's rung him to say, yeah, you don't want to be up there. I'm not sure which way he's going. The stuff you've got to watch here. Well, we've got a 3-run ball game. You can see umpire waving, and that means that it is time for Tamoya Mikami to come in. And apologies if that camera angle looks a little bit funny for you now, but it's
someone's being wrestled to the ground.
It's copped the bump from said person who decided to climb the platform earlier, and now I'm not sure what's going on there. We'll hopefully be able to bring you the last inning from behind centre field, but as things stand, it is a 5-2 ball game, and Perth, well, they've got plenty of work to do here, but they pulled 2 back in the 8th. What will Tamoya Mikami bring? Well, he's brought plenty.
I haven't seen him. Tell me about him.
Super quick. Has the traditional Japanese hold in the
pause.
There it is. There, the leg comes up and he holds. Very different from anything else that they've played. They've seen this evening. We'll talk through a little bit more of it in a moment, but I'll give you some numbers on Lamont very quickly, who wound up throwing a complete inning and gave up nothing. No hits, no runs, didn't walk anyone. Had the 1 strikeout. For a grand total of 15 pitches, 8 of them for strikes, and 1 ground out, no flyouts.
And importantly, that stat at the bottom of the box score, inherited runners and how many of them scored. Lamont 3-0.
Exactly. And
inherited 3 runners, none scored. That's extraordinary.
Can't do much better than that. And now Tamuya Makami, a man who has come on, he's closed out a lot of games. He's had 6 save opportunities and has registered 5 saves, so that's pretty decent effort. Across the 13 games he's pitched in, 12.2 innings pitched. He's given up 12 hits, but he's struck out a mere 17.
17 and 12.
Yeah, that's pretty handy.
That's pretty good. The centre field shot is back and looks pretty good.
Apologies, it's a little bit different from where it was earlier, but you can see the pitcher, you can see the catcher, you can see the batter. The batter is Tim Kennelly, and Tamuya Makami sends the arm over, maybe a little high on the first pitch. Kennelly decides to hack at it.
It was there for.
It was there.
It was there for hit.
It was there. But it goes the Cavalry's way. 0-1 the count. Makami again. Run through, popped up, short and second. Converge, Francoso calls for it, takes the catch. 1 down, 2 to go for a Cavalry win. And it's the old story that when you've got fewer outs than left than runs you need,
it's tough.
It is tough. And there are 2 outs left and a 3-run margin. But
yeah,
Anthony, we've seen it overcome.
We're probably 20 minutes away from getting very wet as well.
Cavs will be looking to wrap this one up and do it fairly soon. Chris Clare, he's 0 for 3 plus a walk this evening. The other thing about Makami, I think you've noticed here as he gets a strike, is there's no time between the pitches.
He's working very quickly.
It is a really, really fast game. Clare's taken a step out of the box to try and disrupt him. And he comes back in. Ready now, sir. 1-1, 1 out, none on. And yeah, he's in his routine now. You're going to struggle to get this away now. 1-2.
What a great pitch.
This game could be over in 2 pitches from here. Oop. And again, could be high and inside. 2-2. Likes sports cars too, just quietly. Does Tamuya Makami.
Well, he turned away from that. That would have whipped him on the shoulder.
Or higher. 2-2. Make that a full count. Makami, one of a quartet of Japanese players from the Yokohama DNA Bay Stars, and you mentioned they were about 20 minutes away from getting wet, Anthony. I reckon it might be less than 20 minutes because I'm seeing rain falling now. So that's 2 outs as Clare strikes out, and Canberra, well, they'll want this to happen fairly quickly. You can just see above at the top end of the scoreboard in that wide shot there, a little bit of rain falling. You can see it falling just in front of the scoreboard, just a little bit of it. If you're on a big enough screen, if you're watching on your phone, you're probably not picking it up.
It's only very light, but
it'll be heavier in about 10 minutes. That may be immaterial here. The rain last night came when Perth were leading 2-0. The game was suspended in the middle of the 3rd inning. And Cosma hits it hard. Francoso sends it across to Maunaroa. The rain falls, but the Cavalry climb to a victory and keep themselves in with a chance of improving their seeding. Perth let one slip after Melbourne lost a game earlier tonight. A win there would have put Perth up on top of the Southwest Division, but Canberra go to 22-15. Perth fall to 22-15. It's a very crowded schedule coming up for these 2 sides. They'll finish off game 1 tomorrow. 4 o'clock start for that. Game 3 will be a 7 o'clock start on Saturday night, and then game 4 will be 11 o'clock Sunday morning. Thank you very much. So that'll be 3 games being played in about a 22-hour period. It's going to be a pretty tough set of circumstances for these players. But they're professional baseballers, most of them, and they'll be used to it. Anthony, it's been great to catch up with you this evening. Final thoughts from you?
I've had a blast. Chris, it's good to be back and helping you out every now and again. Outstanding pitching from the Cavalry, except for obviously Madison Youngman, who had a struggle with his outing tonight. But Zach Lamont came in and shut that down, and Makami just closed it out and fixing up the win for Frank Gailey. a couple of insurance home runs.
McCarmy, 8 pitches, 6 strikes. The win goes to Frank Gailey, but I think deservedly so in a game really dominated by pitching. The man well, there's 2 men who've picked up a joint man of the match award there, and I think deservedly so.
Yeah, Zach Lamond and Kyle Perkins.
Kyle Perkins with the first home run of the night. But Anthony, it's been great to catch up with you again. Thank you very much for your company tonight.
You're most welcome. Thank you very much for having me back.
To everyone involved tonight, thank you very much for being a part of it. On behalf of the Australian Baseball League, the Perth Heat and the Canberra Cavalry, signing off from MIT Ballpark, where the Canberra Cavalry have won 5 runs to 2 in a nail-biter. This is Chris Coleman saying good evening.